am I not able to go live? Like, okay, I'm live. Good night, gods and goddesses. What we got going on in the background is a nice little build. That might be you. As you get in here, go ahead and let me see your comment over there in the comment section so I know it's you, so I know who's coming in. Had a little technical difficulty a little bit, wouldn't let me go live for a second. But I'm on a full live stream. While we get that fixed, we gonna get it ready. All right, the room's filling up. And saw this little message about a little technical difficulty. How y'all feeling tonight? It's too much power for one room. A little too much power for that little hit right there. If you're coming in, welcome y'all. Always love the support as we building, as we growing up. I got that binaural in the background that's unlocking that God frequency. Because that's what we're doing every time we build. We're building to that God frequency. Going through this real quick. Let the room fill up a little bit. Let everybody fill up while I get everybody situated. Do something real quick while I'm talking to y'all. Get a little bit of clarity on what happened. Hopefully everybody learns just to go to the live link that isn't live. Go to the one that says go live. That kind of messed me up for a little bit. Had me for a little loop. I got the rain falling around out here, so ancestors clearing that path for us. Starvation is their salvation. Similar to, I did that one guy talk back a little further back when I was talking about Chaos's Day, harmony. Everything's turned on its ear, basically, in that thought process. Everything's turned on its ear. So when we are emotional, when we are distracted, when we're bogged down with the day-to-days of ourselves, when we bogged down with that day-to-day back and forth, that's what is their salvation. That's what's their happiness. That's what they like. That's what they love. They need that in their lives. They need that type of energy because we're not clinking into our own power source because we don't know our own power source. They put everything under, they put all the stuff that we need to be getting into now under the occult science. They put it under demonic, the demonologies. They make it demonic. And since we don't understand, once again, I said the etymology of words, we don't understand. Demonic comes from the word demon, which comes from the Latin word damian, which means intelligence. So yes, we are very demonic people because we are actually a very intelligent people. We're a very spiritual people, but they have us going through this emotional. They have us going every day, every Sunday over to some building, going Sunday all throughout the week. And the pastor just simply feeding on our emotions. The pastor simply feeding on our emotions. We don't get into the simple, the plain things that we go through every single day, not even realizing that's exactly what it is. A distraction. Once you understand what something is, you can take yourself further. Once you understand what something is, you can take yourself further. Once you understand the spell, you can break the spell. And you can manipulate the spell to yourself. Once you understand your true power, your true energy, your true self, understand your greatness, understand where you from, understand where you came from. If you understand how great you are, just to the minimum basis of what it is. I just understand it to the minimum basis of what it is. Why would you settle for anything less than the best thing for you? If you understand how powerful you really are, your worth, your everything about you, why would you settle for anything less? Why would you allow anything to distract you? I see you. I see you. We have a question and answer period. So, you have any questions towards the end of this? We're gonna have our question and answers. We have like a little question and answer build because every question is actually an answer. I learned that from Bobby Hemmett, master teacher. We're gonna take ourselves past what we're used to. I want everybody to understand that what we want is not going to come in any form that we're used to. And that goes based on to that thought process of when they told you who the devil was, they gave the devil an image of a pointy head, horns, ponytail, trident. Took it from the information we laid on, know it was set. Took our energy, took our power, took all our stuff that they could use and understand. I had a thought process earlier today. I was thinking about the R. Kelly story, and I was watching a Bobby Hemmett lecture actually, and he broke down. He was like, they never put anything that happened within the first, and with it's a 10-year, it's like a 10-year gap. So if you think of something like the R. Kelly story, for example, we'll start with that. You start with the R. Kelly story and put that in there. We knew back then when he married Aaliyah that he was into little girls. But they didn't put out Surviving R. Kelly until more than 10 years afterwards. Because they understand we don't understand time. It's gonna be emotionally attached to it, so we don't think about it. They love to hit you with that emotion. Most of the people that love that you're their salvation, you're their help, you're the one that they need in their life, you're that energy that they need so they can keep doing their stupid shit. Most of those people, they'll always give you the memories from something in your past. They'll always remind you of something that they did once or twice before. They're always going to do that. They're always going to bring up something from the past to leave you connected to it emotionally. Because they can't bring nothing from the present because that forces you to think. A lot of the things that come into our lives right now, we can't grasp it because we don't think. That's why when you see the distractions in the media, and you're seeing then all of a sudden Black Lives Matters pop up, or you see on the media, and then you start seeing commercials that are more geared towards us and family and our energy towards us. It helps us go. It puts us back at ease. Oh, they're doing something. They're showing us that they're doing something because it's attaching to us mentally. Because we ain't growing into our spiritual wisdom. That spiritual wisdom is that's the divine key. Everything is divinely within us, our power. Nothing works in this realm without our power, without our say-so. Whether you know when you're doing it or you don't know you're doing it, your power is what keeps all of this together. Your focus, your attention on all of this around you is what keeps all of this together. The minute that you start not thinking about certain things, just for example, the minute you stop thinking about that one friend that you know you need to cut off way back in the day, all they doing is the same thing. They keep bringing the same problems. They keep bringing the same issues to the table. Every time you see them, they're talking about their baby father this and he doing this or she doing this or I can't believe she did that to me or this, and this. They're wanting you to listen. They're giving you something to feed your ego or your emotion because you automatically feel now in that thought process, you feel like you're their salvation simply because you're sitting there finding ear to lean on to. You're providing that shoulder for them to cry on. You're providing that couch for them to sit on. You see how your starvation for wanting to be loved, wanting to have that attention, wanting to be that greater figure, your niceness, in that you are starving to be the better person. And their salvation is you being the better person. You not judging them. You not giving them what they need to hear. You giving them what they want to hear. You're not giving them the honest truth because honestly, we don't know what the honest truth is. We're stuck in a program that everybody love. I don't care who it is, what it is, where it is, what entity, where energy, what place, what environment. Toxic is toxic. As long as it connects to you, there's the toxicity within you. For most of us, we don't understand that toxicity is the traumas that set us to where we are at and set us on our path. That's what creates that energy. If you came from something negative and you reinforcing it with what you thought based off your trauma and not working on it, but it's simply covering it more with dirt, the harder and harder it is to get to yourself. The more and more stuff you need outside of you to cover yourself. Because you don't want to be seen in that way. You don't want to be seen as that little kid that you feel ashamed for somebody touching on you. You don't want to feel that pain ever again. You don't want to feel it. So you numb yourself to it. You don't want to think about your friend that died or your cousin or somebody that passed at an early age. You don't want to think about that anymore. So you don't want to deal with that pain. But that pain is still there. That pain is closer to your pain is closer to your core than anything that you want. The pain, the trauma, everything that's handed you to this point is closer to your core, is closer to your true self than you can even fathom. It hurts. That's where that shadow work comes in. That's what they use outside of you. Come here for salvation. You starving, my child. Come here for salvation. But they give you rhetoric. They give you twisted stories. They try to make it literal literature when it's actually allegories. And they got to tell you it over and over and over again and keep you locked into that shift of that paradigm in that space so you don't go anywhere past it. So since we aren't going past it, we stuck in the same circle. So that's how they feed off you. You stuck in that same space, so that's how they feed off you. Your need for likes on Instagram and Facebook and all these needs for likes, all these needs for attention, all these needs for love. That love is just lust because we don't understand the trueness of love. Love tears you down and takes you to your best self. Love tears you down and annihilates everything that is no longer fitting to nurture you. So anything that comes into your life that's feeding your ego, that's lust. Anything that you sitting there and you can go look at a YouTube video and you can think about how you want to make yourself look that day, but you're not taking the thought process into actually clearing yourself up first, you just hindering your growth because eventually everything's going to show through. It's going to be shown through to you. And most of the things that we go through and we try to cover up, they show to us every day we look into the mirror. And then it gets deep because it looks like everybody that's around us at that time. Nobody exists until you think about it. Nobody around you exists until you think about it. Because you have a perception based on memories, based connected to your to that emotionalism that helps that person connect to you. But when those memories become lessons, when those thoughts become the weight that's strengthening you, what are you holding on to? That's the scale. That's that scale for that balance. It's the balance of that mayat. I said a couple weeks back, when is a thief no longer a thief? It's not when they stop stealing. It's when they repay for everything that they stole. When is a liar no longer a liar? Not when they stop telling a lie, but when they give the truth and more to everything that they said. We're stuck in a paradigm fighting in a realm that was created. It's an illusion itself of distractions. And now we're stuck in a realm and we're sitting here yelling at a White House, yelling at politicians on television. I just want y'all to tell the truth. They feeding off of it. You're not going to change, so why should they change? Why, if they tell you the truth, what you going to do with it? Be mad, be upset. If someone tells you the truth about some shit that they did to you, what you going to do? Be mad and upset. You're going to feel a little bit better because they told you the truth, but how you going to move forward? All this knowledge that we have around us, how are you using it to apply to your everyday? How are you taking yourself to your next level? We stuck in limbo. We stuck trying to survive instead of creating. We stuck in the survival instead of creating. We surviving off of scraps. We still in that we still in that prisoner of war mentality. When they took us and they enslaved us, we still in that mentality. Similar to the soul food. They gave us the worst parts of the pig, the scraps of food, and we turned it into something. They still giving us scraps, and you still trying to turn it into something. Hindering your own growth. When we understood at one whole time how to make for our own. Just going back into history to the time when it was the Black Wall Streets. Everything we did, we excelled at. From our businesses, excelled theirs. Our bus lines, excelled theirs. Our sports teams, excelled theirs. But then we allowed what was actually a agent, and there's the documents to prove it, an agent for them to tell us to be peaceful, to segregate us. Instead of saying segregate, meant siphon from us. Because the minute we integrated with them, I meant to say integration. The minute they stopped segregation and we integrated with them, they were tapped into our power source. You. The minute that we stopped doing our bus lines, the minute we boycotted their bus lines, our bus lines shut down. Our money stopped. And we've been behind ever since. We so far behind that we think that when we get some money, we're ahead. That's programmed into our minds. The minute that we come up, we think we're doing something. But you're still paying taxes to them. You being endorsed by them. You being sponsored by them. And we looking up these entertainers for that? You looking up to the dealer on the corner that's selling poison to your aunt, selling poison to your mother. And I can speak so highly on that because I was the one that got looked up to for that. But in order to understand it, I had to go through it. Or I had to pay attention to the examples that were put out in front of me. We have all these examples. We have all these spaces to learn, but we ain't wanting to learn anything. We want to feel sorry for ourselves because we feel like we're not worthy. We feel like we're not strong. We feel like we're not confident enough. But then the minute we get something, they hand us a crumb, oh, we back on top. But the minute something falls apart, oh, they ain't shit. There's a common denominator. There's a common denominator in all these formulas. It's you. It's us. It's us. If when I'm there, shit happens, and when I'm not there, the same shit happens, but just to somebody else. If I remove myself, what would happen? That's when you step into your God frequency. Remove yourself from a situation. I can guarantee you that negative person that you know in your life right now, those negative persons or people in your life right now, but it's friends, family, lovers, whoever it is, remove yourself from the situation. They're going to be going through the same shit. Now take yourself higher and start working on yourself. Guarantee what's going to happen. You ain't going to hear from them no more. They're going to become whispers. They're going to go from whispering, talking to you, to whispering about you. And that's good. That's the positive side. You just became negative to them and positive to yourself. You stopped starving yourself and became your own salvation. You stopped looking out for them and started saving yourself. You started saving your own bread. You started worrying about your own health. All you can be is an example. All you can do is grow into your higher self and be an example. That's all we can be. Anything other than that is mundane. As long as you're not healed, everything mundane is going to impress you or have your attention. Everything that has your attention is going to power your intentions. If you're not doing it to make yourself better, I'm doing it so my whole team can come up. And your team ain't healing themselves, guess what? You're going to be their salvation. But at the end of the day, when everything falls and they all disappear, man, you know, it might not be for us. That connotation right there by itself. Girl, he ain't shit. You know niggas ain't shit. Man, you know these hoes ain't loyal. Those connotations set in your own mind, you'll never find a king. You'll never find a queen because you're losing yourself. You'll never find your king. You'll never find your queen because you're losing yourself. It's a sickness. Their idea of them being okay as long as we're sick. Protesting don't do shit. It just brings acknowledgement to the problem. But if once you have acknowledgement to the problem, how do you intend on fixing it? I've looked at countless protest sheets, and then first I noticed the sponsors of the original protesters. Like, for example, Black Lives Matter is George Stanos, whatever his name is. Call him George Stanos because with a snap of his finger, all that can go away. Can't take away his money from it. You take that thought process, you're waiting for them to give you something to make you better. And documented in history, they have never given you anything to make you better. They've never given us anything to make us better, only to hold us captive, only to keep us starving, only to keep us not nourishing ourselves, thinking that we need to get what they get. Not realizing that it's just been programming us to stay dead. We stay dead. We walk around every single day going through motions. Yeah, I just went to work. Girl, where's happy hour at? Man, job killing me. Shorty ain't acting right. She ain't trying to give me none. But even in that thought process, you thinking emotionally. Why is your lady acting the way she's acting? Why do you think your man is distant from you? We make up this excuse in our minds. I'm a strong black man. I'm a strong woman. So you're a strong color. Congratulations. But if you don't understand your own truth, you don't understand what you are and not who they told you were and who you told you should go look at, where does that leave you in your mind mentally? Where does that leave you? In that thought process by itself, where does that leave you? If I can sit here and say out loud, take a sip of my tea real quick. If I can sit here and listen, I remember listening to my mother when I was younger, and it didn't set right in my mind. My mother would say, I don't need any other man but Jesus. Aunts would say it. My grandmother never said it, and we're going to get into that. I don't need any man but Jesus. I watched my pops get up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would walk. He worked at a nursery, had an electrician, Southern RN job, but he woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, and he would walk to the job. He worked all week. We got Indies candle. He work all week, 40, 50 hours, and he come home. My mom be sitting on the bed, looking over grocery lists, looking at good housekeeping magazines, looking at catalogs, might be around school time. He hand her every dollar that he made. Every dollar that he made for the household, take care of bills, buy groceries, buy stuff for the week. And my mom will hop on the phone, call up one of my aunts, say she need a ride to go to the store. And as I got older, the conversations I started understanding more things as my ears became more open, more able to listen, being in tune. And my mom would be giving money to my aunts that my pops made for the house. But when things went bad, when everything was good, they say nothing. But when everything was good, everything went bad, or something was behind her and needed some money for something, I'm going to pray to God. Now that I'm older, more to myself, I realize your God was in that living room. Your God was out there in the front yard, tending to the yard, cutting the grass. And he worshiped you as a goddess. That's our disconnect. We put everything before what we need to put it before. We not only put everything before ourselves, so that naturally in tandem puts everything that's meant for us on the back burner. Everything that we need to tap into the back burner. We going through all this chaos down here in this physical realm, wondering why, not understanding that when we get into our spiritual higher, we ain't even giving homage to our ancestors. We ain't giving homage to the elders that came before us. The ones that we know went through this shit to get to where we at. They went through the fires for us to be where we at right now. And we spit in their face every time we complain. They didn't have they didn't have half of the resources that we have today. Half. If that. But we sitting here and we thank God for this white man giving me my job. Now I understand that that's a distraction to you. Because you're going to work 8 hours for somebody else. You're going to work 8 hours for somebody else, still starving. They loving it because you helping them make their bottom line. They tell you all these things, all these credentials that you need to go get to stay there and make some more hours because you ain't making no more money because you're their salvation. The longer you're there, you're their salvation. And since you don't understand your worth, since we don't understand our worth and our value, we'll stay there. We'll stay in the most horrible conditions because we think we deserve it and we are painting a way. We're just going to wait our way until the judgment day comes. I remember hearing that from every elder around me, waiting for judgment day, waiting for judgment day, waiting for Jesus to come back, waiting for Allah to come back, waiting for Allah to show his face. He already showed his face. But we stuck on that. If you coming out of that, you got to go deeper into yourself. If you understand that, it's time to go deep into yourself. Only way you're going to rise. We have to break away from humanity. Exactly, that's complacency. We got to break away from humanity. You let parasites teach you morals to keep you bounded to something. These parasites teach you morals and it's be a good neighbor and State Farm, it cares. Even when you listen to these commercials, it's psychological programming. They're gonna sing a jingle and it locks something back into your head. That's that MK Ultra. The conspiracy theory to it don't even matter. That's the MK Ultra. They can tell you about concentration camps. Ain't got to build one because the concentration camp is in your mind. They can say, oh, we kill black people. Now they ain't got to put a gun on you because they, in your mind, you know if you go out there into the streets, you're going to die. They keep you in a constant state of fear. That goes all the way down to niggas ain't shit. So you make yourself so bitter that you don't even go look or to better yourself to have something connect to you. Man, these bitches ain't loyal. So you run around in the streets with your homies, giving more to them than you give to your queens. But if these hoes ain't loyal, was your mom not loyal? Was your auntie, your grandma not loyal? Man, that's a whole different category. It's the same category. Ego will have you sitting here trying to compartmentalize everything around you. That's what ego does. Ego keeps you in this complacent setting of everything around you. It's supposed to be the same way that you keep going through motions. You will be safe if you don't do this. You will be safe if you don't do this. Don't go read up on that. That's evil. Steady starving yourself from the knowledge and nourishment to your own mind. You have a chance at everything in the garden, but you eating the same three things. You got a chance to have everything for you, but you settling for the same bullshit. You settling for the same shit. You settling to survive. I'm structured my life. I'm trying to survive. I'm just trying to survive, man. I'm just trying to survive. Your survival is detrimental to your rise. Your survival is detrimental to your rise. Your chaos is their harmony. You see on TV every single day, they put your face on their savage acts. They made us to be savages. So if we savages, let's act like savages. Let's tear all this shit down. Definition of savage. And the savage will destroy an environment because they don't understand how it's not suitable to them. So as an occultist, me studying the occult, guess what? I'll be that savage. They said a man that bears the mark of the beast, and the mark of the beast would be 666. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. The chemical composition for carbon, what everything is made of. So I'll be that devil. The devil ain't nothing but Lucifer. Lucifer is the light bringer. So Lucifer being the light bringer, the bringer of light, the bringer of knowledge, the bringer of the truth. So what's so bad about it? Ain't no good or bad. Remember, it's negative and positive polarities. What's negative for you may be positive for somebody else. So it may be positive for you to grow, negative to somebody that doesn't want to grow. That's okay. Leave them over there. Leave the breadcrumbs. If they pick them up, they do. If they don't pick it up, it's fine. If it doesn't resonate with them, that's fine. That's your barometer. That's your teaching exercise. That's your teaching over there. I know I don't want to be like that, so I'm not going to go over there. Or I'm not going to allow that energy into my space. But I'll look from afar. Remember, love annihilates to show truth. So he is hater. The person that fears you the most is just showing you the most love. Because they're annihilating the connection to you. They're annihilating the connection to you. They're helping you get yourself in alignment. If you ever notice, when you start working on yourself, every time you start working on yourself, the things of your past that don't resonate with you, they just don't click anymore. And it starts with the physical representations of the people that were around you. That club you used to go to every day, or those people you used to hang around every night, you don't hang around them anymore. But that bookstore looked lovely. That moment in time when you wanting to better yourself financially, all those happy hours go out the window. All those recreation no matters go out the window because you bettering yourself. If the people around you are not challenging you to be better, don't need to be around them. If the environment around you is not challenging you to grow, time to get out that environment. A thought comes to my mind when I read a post. I read a post, and it said, the truest and the scariest thing that happened to you is when you move out of that town where you knew everybody to somewhere where you don't know nobody. That's when you will find yourself. As you get deeper into understanding both sides of the line, everything becomes an allegory for you. So that environment where you were sitting in at a point in time that you keep trying to go back to and try to uplift others, you may get one or two different people. They may listen for a little bit, but they won't leave. Leave them there. You got to be humble enough to yourself to understand that everybody ain't going to come with you. You got to be humble enough to yourself. If you ain't humble to yourself, the reflection, who's going to be humble to listen? Who's going to be humble to rise with you? Most of the times, we get stuck in this thought process of listening to somebody, and because they're not dressed up the way we're used to, it isn't dressed up the way we're used to, we tend not to listen to it. If it's not in an image that we're used to, we don't even put our eyes on it. It's not until something detrimental happens that all that knowledge kicks back in and kicks us in the ass. And then we get a little emotional. Man, I should have did this a long ass time ago. That happened with situations every day. Man, I should have did this a long ass time ago. But then we didn't do it. What stopped you? Man, when nobody trying to go with me. And that bookstore, don't nobody want to go to but you? Go. That means there's more books for you. That restaurant that don't nobody want to go to, that's more plant-based and more healthy, more health conscious to you, don't nobody want to go to? Fine, go. That means there's more choices and more room on the table for you to try. We got to stop having this thought process trying to take everybody with us. Removing that thought process allows everything else to flow in. Because the more you're holding on to, the harder it is for you to grasp anything new. The longer you sit here trying to grasp on to, I want to liberate my people and free my people, the harder it is for you to liberate yourself. Because you will be emotionally connected to everything that happens to your people. And you cannot sit back and understand the thought process of why it happened in the first place. Remember, you can't understand the box if you're inside the box. All you see is the walls of the box. If you're in the projects and everything you've ever seen is in the projects, and then everything around the project starts changing, why are you mad? It's something else for you to learn. People get mad at gentrification all the fucking time. Someone hit me up the other day, was like, yo, man, Harlem ain't Harlem anymore. Harlem is the home of the Renaissance, change, elevation, great works, great artists, great magicians, great things. So eventually it was going to go into a realm of going greater. What we're upset with is the fact that we didn't do it. You didn't try to do anything to it. That's like if you sit here every single day and you say, I look like shit, but you do nothing to fix it, but you cover it up. It's the same, everything is everything. It's the same thought process. You bog yourself down with emotion instead of getting in control of your emotions. We bog ourselves down every day with emotions instead of trying to understand our emotions, understand what's hitting our emotions and what can trigger us, understanding how the triggers got there in the first place. What traumas led to this? What line connected to this? Why we are where we're at? We know that. We know that history. I'm tired of these root stories. I'm tired of these. I'm mentally not even attuned to a Trayvon Martin story or a Phil Costello story. Yes, I truly still have compassion for that, for my people in that whole, but my mindset is not trying to fix a system that's not broken, but how to rise above this system to create for us. That's where my mindset's at. So if somebody wants to have a conversation to me about how do you feel about Black Lives Matter, it doesn't register to me in that aspect. Man, that could have been your cousin. Man, that could have been your little nephew. True indeed. But instead of me saying we should be able to go anywhere, that mindset of trying to be included in everything, why don't I create something for myself? If I sit here in my house, everything I need is in my house. Everything that I need. If I need to go get something, I can go get it and bring it back to my house. Just that simple and plain. My house is in order based on my energy, my thoughts, my power. I understand my power. I understand the conduits, what's in my home. Anything that comes in my home that gets me anxious, I know is bad for my energy, so I don't want it around me because I have control of my space. Bigger picture. You can't do that in this space. This space isn't designed for that. This space is not designed for you to rise in. This space is only meant for you to be exploited, be somebody else's salvation, be somebody else's meal ticket, be somebody else's bitch. To stay subservient to a set of laws and rules and regulations and an outward energy that's only you. Everything that they throw back at you is you. They'll sit here, have your history, have your knowledge, put quantum physics on the front of a book and say, oh, we just invented quantum physics theory. The theory part of that is you, us. That's the theory part. The missing piece to take something from a theory to a sure fact is us. I can explain quantum physics all day. If I take a glass of water over here, I take a glass of water over here, and I speak all the negatives into this glass, and I pour this glass away, and I speak all the positives into this glass, and return all my energy back to me, my soul, everything that's good for my soul nourished back to me, and I drink this glass, and I set the manifestation, everything's back inside of me. I just committed quantum physics. They'll say quantum fission. That was quantum fission. The physics part was removing the negative isotopes and taking in the positive isotopes to create a new energy source. Congratulations, you're the energy source. As long as I keep you in a negative balance and keep removing your energy base, as long as I keep removing your positive into this negative energy source, and say it's a negative energy source, one, you're going to stay away from whatever I tell you is negative, so you won't go look at it. And I keep giving you this positive image or this positive illusion. You keep taking it in, this positive poison that you keep taking in. I can continuously take your power and siphon it and use it for my own benefit. I can give you Black Lives Matter and give you some protesting that was done back in the 60s, and you won't do anything outside of the protesting and begging me to give you a new law or begging me to give you something new. So here I give you Martin Luther King Boulevard. Oh, I'll give you Black History Month. Oh, I'll give you free speech to say whatever you want. But don't go try to make your own shit. Because you don't know your own value. Mansa Musa, richest man in the world, today would be the richest man on the planet. That's where we come from. That's our lineage. So why do you need them for? We are the generators, the operators, and the destroyers. In order to generate new energy and operate on a higher level, we got to destroy the level that's below us by rewriting the infrastructure and rebuilding our foundation and taking ourselves higher. Instead of sitting here trying to sell products that you don't even know what's in it. You don't know what you are. You don't know what you are. So you go fill yourself with things you don't know what's in it. Everything that I put into my body, I have knowledge of what it is, or I know where to go get the knowledge from to find out what it is. In the spiritual center, epicenter of it, we're in the age of Aquarius, the age of knowledge. We still stuck on the paradigm of looking at the characteristics of one, which is ego, have a looking at our own characteristics. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm naturally a smart ass. I'm very innovative. All my negatives and positive traits are my traits. But as you get further into it and you keep going through the houses, understanding your natal chart and all those things, you realize that you're the characteristics of every one of the signs because it's all you. I realize that I'm passionate just like a Scorpio when I'm in a certain mindset. I realize I can be stubborn like a Taurus when I'm in that mindset. I realize I can be emotional like a Cancer when I'm in that mindset. I realize I can be real shut off at the mouth like a Capricorn when I'm in that mindset. I realize I can be really wishy-washy around people I don't want to be around like a Pisces when I'm in that mindset. All of this is you. They keep putting us in this circle of compartmentalizing everything. But then behind the scenes, I just looked at the post. It was in the news that the Muslim faith and the cardinal bishops, which if you are Christian, you are Catholic, Pentecostal, whatever you want to be, you are Catholic. That's where it derived from. That's where the denomination came from. They're trying to make a one world religion. So they're going to unify. So two different slave masters coming together to make a bigger plantation. That's the merge. But we got in our own conscious community, we got motherfuckers still debating back and forth on whose knowledge is actually better. When knowledge is infinite, your perception, my interpretation may help somebody get to the same spot we all trying to get to. We ain't using it to better anything. The only thing and about our sciences, they going more and more into the light. At this phase, they're going more and more to the light. They already went through their dark ages when we first brought them back. We civilized Europe twice. So we're already in their dark ages. They already went through their dark ages. Now they're all about peace and light and crystals and stones and all this and the peace and the light and the sustain the light. Stay away from the dark bag energy. They still programming you to stay away from your own shit. So you're going to go grab some crystals, which is nice. I'm wearing onyx right now, but it's a black stone. It wards the negative energies and to myself on my wrist is for truth and power. But what about your dark? From the dark came light. It all started off with y'all. Close your eyes and think. You did it with your eyes closed. It was kind of dark. Minds come from, you have a thought. Light bulb comes on. We saw that. We remember when we saw a little kid when we were all little, and they had a little light bulb idea. So from the dark bulb lit up because he had an idea, so it had a positive charge of energy. And it comes from a negative thought process, like, I don't want to sweep the floor. I don't want to keep stepping in trash. I guess I'm going to sweep the floor. Idea, I invented a broom. I don't want to worry about being at an intersection being hit by a car. Oh shit, we invented the motherfucking stoplight. I don't want to walk from point A to point B anymore. Oh shit, we invented the car. Even the things we didn't even know that we invented. Even the things that they stole in the first place, and they said We sit here and listen to the dumbest fucking stories. Somebody sat here and we were in fucking grade school and they said Benjamin Franklin invented electricity, and there was two holes in that story. Because he discovered electricity because he tied a key to a piece of string and it hit the kite and it hit the string, and that's how he invented electricity. Two holes in that story. If electricity was the lightning, and we know that's the original electricity to that thought process, and we can go back and just look at the meta nature on the wall, and we had those giant cylinders on there. That was the original. We were harnessing electricity way back then. That's how we created the pyramids, and they're all across the electromagnetic grid of the earth. He couldn't have invented electricity. Just off of that by itself. But we don't have critical thought because we're used to fairy tales. Stuck on fairy tales. We allow ourselves to be told our worth based on fairy tales. We're told that we are born into sin. So now we're starving to be loved and to be forgiven. And that salvation is us being ignorant enough to fall for it and forever to be children. Ignorant enough to be children forever. Why would I want to be a child forever? And then they give you Peter Pan on TV and say, never, never land, you never grow up. Then they give you programs of Toys R Us, you never ever grow up. Want to be a Toys R Us kid. Toys R Us went bankrupt. That was a spiritual sign that trickled down mentally that you can't stay a child forever. Showed you on television. Hey, once in a while, how it work? The spirit realm's gonna come through. That's universal. That universal law, the hermetic law, the universal laws. That's how that shit kick in. So every once in a while, you'll see something that you need to pay attention to. Everything we need to start looking to as scientists. And stop looking at it like emotional children, because we're not children. We're actually older than we actually are. I had a thought process the other day, a while back. I was listening to my niece talk. My niece told me a story from her perspective that I really listened to. She enunciated the words that she understood. It was a funny story from her perspective. I can't remember the story right now, but it was a funny story from her perspective. And then we proceeded. She laid on my bed and she said, "Uncle, can I see your phone?" And I handed her my phone. She said, "Uncle, unlock your phone." So I unlocked my phone. And then she proceeded to go into the little blocks on my home screen, and she pointed on the block that had the little YouTube image in it. She clicked on the YouTube image. She hit the little speaker button, and she spoke for it to sing some song or something or other. And I was like, wow. And I was at my mother's house, and my mom was like, "Did you put that song on for her?" No. These kids are smarter and smarter, I tell you. That's the young gods. That's a God came back. That's an elder that just came back. We're in a position right now which we should be constantly learning. Constantly learning. I mean, we sat in school for 8 hours a day. We sat in school for hours out the day. Some of us paid for college in some way or other. We'll get into that in a whole other conversation. But now we don't want to learn. We literally sit here don't want to learn anything new. We want everything handed to us like children. We want everything handed to us like kids. Then you look at the kid. Why do they call us kids? Because goats eat everything, consume everything, and then, but goats take everything in as nourishment. And then they'll tell you something like Baphomet is evil and dark and spooky. This that spookism part of this. And they tell you it's dark and spooky. And then they put a pentagram on his head. Or sometimes you'll see it depicted with the 6-pointed star. But when you understand basic metaphysics and alchemy, you understand that the upper triangle is the masculine for the phallus pointing upwards, and the triangle that's pointing downwards is the feminine, or the vesica, or the yoni for Sanskrit for the vagina. So it's the masculine and feminine energies coming together. That's the Star of David, the perfect, so the perfected energy. Then you look at the pentagram, which is nothing but the elements: earth, wind, fire, water, air, in perfect harmony. And when you circle something, you're encasing it. So you're locking into the wind, the fire, the water, the air, the earth. But they tell you that it's spooky. They put it upside down on a book. It still means the same shit. It's in the same damn circle. They just turned it upside down. When it's upwards, it's going towards positivity, the positive, or the positive going to the light. And when it's upside down, it's going to the negative aspects of it, which is if you turn it upside down, and the same fire that can heat up your home can burn down your house. The same water that can quench your thirst can drown you. The same wind that can give you that cool breeze can drop a tree on your damn car. Negative, positive aspects. The masculine, the feminine energy. The newest craze is this toxic masculinity. That toxic masculinity is built off of that spookism. Because the original thing they said about our women were they had an apple, which was actually knowledge. She gave man knowledge. They weren't even smart enough to plagiarize it right. Because when you go back and you read the original story and you break down the story, you understand that a king could not sit on the throne until he took the knowledge from till he gained spiritual enlightenment, or the feminine energy, the feminine source of energy from the queens. That's why we're birthed from our mother. Because without our queens are the only structure on this planet, in this realm, that can birth spiritual energy into the physical form. Only ones, only energy. So why are women so bad? It's hard to, so why would I look at my queens and not try to understand why they were held onto such a bad space? Understand that we're in a patriarchal society. Nothing's working no more in this patriarchal society. The distraction, what they've shown us on TV when they showed the Bill Cosby allegations, the R. Kelly, all these countless rapes and shit coming out to the surface, that's showing that the cosmic balance, the karmic balance, is now coming into alignment and destroying everything in order for the feminine energy to rise so it can fall into balance. We still stuck on this. Some people are still stuck on that thought process, even in the conscious community. that seed bullshit. Like, we need our queens, and our queens need us. That's the unity. Every single day, they're sitting here trying to break away and keep us from coming together. And they following the same repetitious bullshit, that same fictitious Willie Lynch letter. Let's put the old against the young. Let's put the dark against the light. They keep following that same paradigm, and they put it in front of us. So instead of saying the old versus, instead of putting the the man, the old man against the young man, so I ain't learning from nothing from. They putting us against our own women. They putting against us our own queens. Also, we trying to fight to get ahead. So we don't want to be challenged. They don't like to be challenged. And when you break it down, they're following. The breakdown is they following the script that we wrote. When you get deep enough into it, and you go even deeper, and you understand that energy to that thought process, they're following the script that we wrote. If you look at everything in your life at this point in time, it's all written to a script that you wrote based on decisions that you made, the choices that you made, whether or not, and the choices were based off of, this is the biggest thing, this is the biggest key to that. The choices that you made were based on the knowledge of the environment where you came from. So if you didn't know the sky was blue, and you walked outside, saw a blue sky one day, you get scared and run in the house. Sky blue, I'm used to it being gray. The grass is green over here. I'm not used to that green grass. I'm used to the brown grass in my yard. You run away from it instead of trying to understand it. Why does my life seem to always attract negativity and drama? Listen to the stories you tell your homegirls. Why do I continuously attract these no good women? I don't know. Listen to the stories you tell your homeboys about these men being shit. You'll listen to Chris Brown every single day talk about these hoes ain't loyal. Lady love Chris Brown. So hoes ain't loyal. Then he go sing a love song. He'll go sing Privacy. Ooh, what was Chris Brown do that to me? And then you find a man do that to me. So you're stuck in that physical mundaneness. You see how that mundaneness, the mundane keeps your attention and impresses you? Instead of actually understanding your energy is sacred, because you don't understand the value of your energy. You thinking, ooh, Chris Brown. You can't get a Chris Brown, so you just want to do it with some money. So you want a light-skinned dude with some money. So that's that light versus dark. So that dark-skinned brother that got that good job and he out there working and grinding, you don't want to go look at him because y'all call him that L7 or that square. Call him an L7 or a square. We all seen Baby Boy. So you're looking at that square over there. You want the roughneck ass dude. You want the dude that's spend 21 hours out of the day playing Madden. 2 days arguing, 2 hours arguing with you. The other 2 hours, while in them other 2 hours of arguing with you, getting you all messed up emotionally, just to go outside and take your car and not put gas back in it. You get what you asked for. You manifested niggas ain't shit. So you settled for the nigga that ain't shit based on how well you knew yourself. If you knew your strength and your power and your feminine energy and you understood it, you wouldn't settle for anything less than a God to come into your life. But how does a God come into your life? That's when you start working on your goddess. You start starving yourself on this physical need to be touched, and you start sowing love into yourself, and then you start reaping from that sowing of that harvest, that means you automatically stop entertaining the no good brothers, because they still are brothers. You stop entertaining the no good brothers, and you start entertaining the God, that King. Eventually, you'll either realize, let the dead lay with the dead, or the dead might wake up, become a zombie, and actually start mimicking some of the things long enough to come online. That sound familiar? We taught them how to bathe, how to cook food, how to build shit. Gave them a little bit of knowledge just from them to survive and walk as soon as they were able to walk on their two legs. And they've mimicked it into this vast, wonderful prison system that we call Earth. Now everything's been flipped, and now you depending on them for everything and not looking into yourself for anything. Their vision of beauty, what they accept and what they don't accept. I saw a post earlier today and I shared it. It was saying less Cardi B's and more cardio. All of us have seen what Cardi B looked like without makeup. But y'all still, motherfuckers out here still trying to be Cardi B. Still emulating her. Entertainers, my man's posted that. Women out here, the entertainers are acting like real women, and real women are acting like the entertainers. That's that starvation of your love. We got a starvation for love, so all we can accept is lust. Based on a traumatic event that happened in our lives once or twice, because that's how we were accepted through that physical. You become what you love, you embrace what you love, or you become what you hate. Embrace what you love, or you become what you hate. What do I mean by that? If I never received love from my mother and every maternal figure that was in my life, and then understand how to gravitate towards it in that aspect of what I know I didn't resonate with me and know it resonated towards me. And a traumatic event happened to me long enough, I would hate women. Doesn't mean that I'm gay. I just hate women. But I know they serve a purpose for me to get off. So I'm still aroused physically by the physical structure. I'm still aroused in the salvation and still in that physical structure, but the energy and understanding within that structure doesn't benefit me based on my hate or my lack of knowledge towards it. So I use it as a toy. I sacrifice it for my better gain. I sacrifice that heart, that nurturing for my gain. I become a narcissist in that aspect for my gain. If I never saw a father figure in my life, coming from the feminine aspect, if I never had a father figure in my life, and the only men that came around me showed me physical things that were valued, and they gave me pretty things, and I succumbed and I submitted to them in some way, consciously or unconsciously, and I didn't work on that trauma, every time I approach a man, I only know how one way, because it's programmed into my head that if I'm giving something from this man, I only can give my body in return. So me starving for that attention, their salvation is me giving it to them, giving into them. That's physically represented in your everyday life when you see that orange dude on the screen. He made his whole life up of lying and womenizing their women. That's their thing. Because that's their basis of understanding, that's their basis of knowledge, that's their interpretation of life. That's what they understand. That's as far as their mind goes. So in order for them to be comfortable, they got to paint one of two images. Either you fighting to be like them, or you're fighting to maintain an image that they gave you. There's people around you right now that do not understand the you that you're coming into. They don't understand it. They have a fear of it. That spookism hits them. They're still in that spookism. I don't understand. That emotional tether, that they're still emotionally tied to that past shit. So they'll look at you like you lost your fucking mind. What are they into? The hell you be talking about? Girl, I got you on some new shit. Dude. I remember I used to laugh at there was like the memes and them posts back in the day talking about, this was in MySpace days, a long time. And they were talking about Erykah Badu. Every time you get some of that Erykah Badu, your whole mentality change. You come into this, you start dressing weird. I looked at that, I was like, now that I'm older, I was quite frankly jealous of Andre 3000 in Common. Hated it. I was like, damn, I wish that would have happened to me. Shit. Let's think about that mindset. You look at Girlfriends. Girlfriends is a good show. I remember the episode, like, the dude, he was celibate and he was into that spiritual energy. And he got with Persia, forgot her name on the show. It'll come to me. And like he was celibate, said she had to celebrate celibacy. She was so used to being liberated and free. She was the feminist. So she was more into that outward energy instead of embracing her own energy. But he was teaching her how to shift her own energy. That's what we're going through right now. I noticed something. And I've noticed it a lot. And I didn't understand it until I was actually outside of one box and inside the other box. I remember listening to Maxwell, listening to Raphael Sadiq. I remember listening to D'Angelo, countless other. I don't even like that term. I don't even like the term neo soul because it was so much more to that genre of music. But I would listen to the music and like women would like fall all over Maxwell. I was like, this a light-skinned nigga, light-skinned skinny dude with an afro or some dreads. And I remember listening to the end of the song, How Does It Feel? Everybody remember that video, nigga naked on the damn screen. And y'all ain't gotta be sitting there humming the song. I know everybody humming the song right now. Singing How Does It Feel? And he's sitting there naked. And I'm listening to the words now. And it's a whole different aspect. That was that hidden in plain sight, that occultic energy. That's what spirituality is. A lot of people don't understand spirituality is feminine energy because you must feel it. Don't no entity or creature on this planet got more feelings than a woman, especially our queens. Don't no one go through more pain than our queens. The reason they hurt so much is because if you teach a man, you teach a man, you teach a man. You get knowledge to a man, you teach a man. But if you teach a woman, you teach a nation. In our women, just in that, we're under our little science break. Within a woman, every egg that they will ever have is within them. That's every woman. That means before you were born, when you were inside your mother's womb, every egg was inside the egg that you were in. Every egg was inside that egg that you were ever going to have. Which means, go back to your grandmother, great grandmother, go further and further back to the beginning when you were that original thought. And this is how we put it all together. That original thought going all the way back. You were back here way before we ever got up here. Every egg, every possible child is in that egg from way back here. So that's why they push death on you so much. Once it's dead, they over. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your mother, if she's passed, you got a nation of energy within you. Your father, uncle, anybody that's passed and transcended and transformed to the next side, all of that energy is inside you. If you're starving, lacking nutrition, that mental nutrition to your mind, then guess what happens? You lose access to that energy. And you know Eve was MC squared, so energy never dies. Simply just transfers and changes form. Where does all that power go? Congratulations. That power just went into their hands. That energy went into their hands. Due to your lack of understanding, all of your power is now transferred to them. How do they get it from you? They give you a negative image. You put your positive energy into it, and now it's theirs. They gave you the image of Jesus. So feminine, motherfucker. But if you take enough time to understand, he's always pointing at his heart. He's always pointing upwards. But then you look at the symbol of Baphomet, he's pointing upwards and downwards. It's the symbol for as above, so below. So everything up there, same down here. If I think we all know the Lord's Prayer, the bread and the may everything in heaven be as below as on earth. Then you get into the breaking down aspects of it in understanding. Once you break away from the literal sense, and you start understanding heaven and hell or states of mind. So if you're going through hell, yes, steady look up for heaven, but you're looking up past, you can't see your own head. Heaven's up here, hell's down there. Then you break down the story. I think I told that before. You break down that story and you think about Jesus in the manger. That's your root chakra. Jesus was in hell, root chakra, where you survived that. You survived off shit. Then you rose up. Then you got to the crossroads. The devil got to the crossroads. Oh shit, he got to the crossroads. I'll give you all the riches of the earth. I give you all the riches of what's below you. I'll give you everything that you can touch. But everything up here, you got to think about. Everything down here, you can touch. You can still survive off of. You can survive everything down there. But you'll never think. So since you never think, you never grow. So you steady but stay a kid. So you steady but stay a kid or a baby goat consuming everything for nourishment, but it's not nourishment. You're eating everything, you taking in everything without thinking about it or understanding it, and it's holding you down, and now you becoming egotistically obese. Now you're obese. Egos are fat as hell. That's that masculine aspect of knowing some shit. Now you feel like you know something just because you know it. Women are that feminine energy. That's the logical side. So they're like, so why? There's like the bigger picture. Remember we did the breakdown, the bigger picture of things. They're always about the bigger picture. Why would you do it in the first place? Because I was, because I was, because I you weren't you weren't giving it to me. So you went somewhere else to go get it. Bigger picture. So you felt because I starved your I starved you, and you didn't want to challenge yourself to be better. You went to go something that was easier. So now it reflects in your life. When you sit here thinking about a job, yes, your heart chakra is like the crossroads. That's when it goes into the energy. When you read anything about Baron Samni, the god of the crossroads, into that thought process. When you get to the crossroads in your heart chakra, that's when Jesus met to the crossroads. You have two decisions in yourself. Either path, there's the left-handed path and the right-handed path. The left-handed path is the one that the doctrine of religion is grafted from. That's about everybody being for everybody, the humanity part. That's that humanity aspect. And if you choose that part and that fulfills you, that's good. Fine and dandy. The right-handed path is where they grafted the devil from, the selfishness, self-centered, and they put all these negative undertones. They made it bad instead of saying negative and positive because they didn't want you to go any further into it. So the left-hand side of things, the right-handed way of thinking is more self-sufficient, thinking of self, but the right-handed, which they made negative attributes, are actually the positive attributes of yourself. You can pull from what would be considered the negative attributes to your right-handed path. You can pull the positive attributes from the left-handed path, because now you can pull and you understand that me working on myself makes myself a better example for humanity or for the people around me. You can make yourself more self-sufficient so you're able to deliver to humanity. See, that's that part of it. That's that looking at both sides of the coin. And you look at something like the Trayvon Martin story, and you got to ask yourself that hard ass question. You ask yourselves hard ass questions all the time. Do I want to go eat this chicken sandwich? Do I want to go eat this chicken sandwich? Or do I not want to go eat this chicken sandwich? I know the chicken sandwich is going to mess up my stomach because I know exactly what's in it, the solutions and whatever it may be. I know that for certain. Or I can eat the salad and somehow I have more energy. It's all about those choices. The thought process of free will, what people don't really understand, is that was something you did before you came down here to experience life on this planet. Once you learn meditation and getting deeper, and we're going to get deeper into the Akashic records because I'm actually studying on that now, onto your Akashic records or Akasha. And a good movie to see on that was the director was actually an occultist. He studied the occult when they created the whole Aaliyah thing and they used her energy when she was 22. That's the reason they killed her, because 22 plus 22 and they subtracted her life, so that made 42. So that was like the balance of my yard. So they went to that Isis thought process. Isis Set, Asura Set energy. We might get into that a little bit later. I don't know. I just feel real good. Loving everybody that's joined us. Whether it's 2 people or 300 people, don't matter. We still sharing. We bigger than we actually supposed to be. But yeah, back into that, the heart chakra. If you get to your heart chakra, you come all on, you come into your heart chakra. If you have not worked on those traumatic events that led to you in your life, your heart chakra, I will not say will not open, but it will be narrowed, similar to like cholesterol, physical displays to spiritual. Everything is everything. Remember, always remember that everything is everything. Once you remember that, everything falls into place. So similar to your arteries being clogged in your physical heart, which your heart is actually your first brain, and our Kemet ancestors, our Kemet ancestors, our Kemetic ancestors, and that understood that when they did the mummification process, they did away with the brain because the brain, that knowing was just one part. It was how you applied it. We can know everything. You ever listened to Ginger Tea? I love it. You ever listen to these very intellectual white people on TV, TED Talks or talk radio? I hardly listen to talk radio. But you ever listen to them and they sound so smart? Sound so smart. You ever, now when it's in our communities, they always sound so smart. The next time a person gives you some excellent information, ask them for their book they read it from. They're going to do one or two things. Jump around the subject of giving you the book, or give you the book information. That's based on the ego. A lot of people around us will sit here like pastors. Yeah, we're going to throw that out there, like pastors. We live in a realm, this realm is of addiction and exploitation. We're getting to both of those. Exploitation first. We're going to get into the exploitation part because that's the biggest part of what's starving us is the exploitation. If I give you the source of the information that I give, whether it's a simple book on the beginning of chakras or dreams, or I go deeper and I tell you to go grab, there's a good book, read The Alchemical Body. There is no longer a book in print. I don't know yet. I haven't checked. If someone sees a PDF, right now, Alchemical Body is a PDF. The Alchemical Body is a very good book on explaining the chemicals that are in the female body and how each one of these chemicals, when used or how they're nurtured, can do everything from mind control to mind control, setting thought, manifestations, setting intention. That's why you look at some dudes right now that are in that mind frame. Like, you can get with a chick based on her spiritual encompassing her energy, who she is, and how much she loves herself and knows herself. You can get with a very negative chick, get with a negative bitch. Yeah, we're gonna get to a negative bitch or a spiteful woman, but then you have to understand bitch actually comes from the word vitch, which is actually a Germanic term, which goes into witch, which actually means witch, which goes all the way back. Bobby Hemmett taught us that. The dog star Sirius, which is the original sun, which is where our original energy comes from. So understanding the amount of your words, you can break it down, understand why they made Bitch sounds so bad. Because the negative and positive sides of spiteful means he's stuck on a certain paradigm. So I love my witches. I love that energy. But going back to the aspect, Alchemical Body is actually a good book on that. What's another good book? If you can find a book on the text, The Magician, I have not found a book yet. It might be in print, might not be. I might actually look that up tonight on Amazon.com. But all of these books are the same. When you start reading these books, they all are the same. They all start, any self-help book, any of these books, they all start the same. All talk about look within yourself. All these books start, climax, and end the same. Because the book is telling you in the beginning to look inside of yourself. Since we are programmed to keep looking at stuff outside of ourselves, we don't feel like we're worth it. Guess what we do? Since we're still starving, instead of learning how to feed ourselves, we continue to look for another source of information. That's why you can put someone on Facebook or Instagram or on some media platform can tell you you need to love yourself, and you gravitate towards them and you start following them in that aspect because they're not giving you enough they're giving you enough information to hold you, but not enough information for you to build yourself. We're stuck in a paradigm of being exploited by our emotion, but we're not taught how to heal ourselves. The only person that can heal you is you. If anybody can tell you that they can heal you, they're lying to you. Because doctors are told that they can heal us. Doctors can't heal you. They only can prolong death. I can give you these pills. I can give you this shot. But in a couple months, you need to come in for another shot because to counteract the effects of that shot. So the only thing that can heal you is you. And looking at both sides of that coin, if the only thing that can heal me is me, and all I'm around is a bunch of trees and plants, how did my ancestors never get sick? Look at the environments. See, one thing that we've been put into, this is part of that starvation. One thing that we've been put into in that aspect is we'll look at these images that they show us on TV of these wooded areas, the forest, and these people not having any. They'll say they don't have anything, they're poor and they're destitute. But I see little kids running around playing with rocks and sticks and shit. I see little kids happy as fuck. Even when we were at a certain paradigm, depending on where you were at in your life, you didn't know you were poor until somebody told you were poor. And you didn't understand what being rich was until they gave you the image of someone being rich. Rich is the acronym of realizing I create my own happiness. I create happiness. I create realizing I create happiness. So when I was little, I had a TV in my room. I had a Nintendo. I could go outside whenever I wanted to. Stayed in the backyard, played, had the best imagination of my life. I was in that instance, my starvation to explore my environment was the salvation to my mother. The minute that I wanted more is when I started becoming unconsciously detrimental to my mother. Because I realized that eventually I would have to go outside of my environment of where I was used to and comfortable at to learn more. And all I had were the examples of what was in my environment as my barometer. I can say that now because I've experienced such events. You gotta, in order to do better, must know better. A psychopath repeats, even though he knows it's a morally wrong and the shit's not right, the shit's not positive at all, and repeats it and does it anyway. Some of us and some of our people are psychopaths. The ones that go to the church every Sunday, they're psychopaths. And you can tell that they're psychopaths because psychologically, if you try to tell them anything that's outside of, you give them bona fide facts guaranteed on something, they go fucking berserk. Signs of a psychopath. If you approach somebody, if I approach a young woman, if I approach a queen right now and tell her, actually, I was at my job the other day, and there was a girl or young queen around my age, and she had her head wrapped up. And I was like, damn, you just made me want pancakes. And I was like, it's a good thing. Because you have that, you just reminded me of my grandmother. Instead of her listening, the cognitive dissonance kicked in. And she was like, so you saying I'm an old woman? No, I'm not saying you're an old woman. I'm saying, and then I tried to throw in some knowledge, throwing some of that light. I was like, I remember my grandmother and my mother, they would, before they started cleaning, they would wrap their hair up and then they would make breakfast. And I was thinking about you reminded me of my grandmother because you have that old soul energy. Oh. For a moment, see, me staying level and not giving into that negative energy, I could provide knowledge. And since I stayed calm, I was able to speak that knowledge into her. A lot of the times, we are so used to this negative environment that we're in, that if anything other than what we're used to comes into it, we feel attacked. If it's not the same thing, we feel attacked. We feel like something's not happening, something's not right. We feel like there's not enough time for change. There's not enough time for evolution. It's because we've been put into that thought process of stuck in time. When you get higher up, you realize just like there's no death, there's no time. There's simply alignment and transition. That's what I mean about killing humanity. The biggest breakup that you're going to do, the greatest sacrifice, your first sacrifice, your first ritual sacrifice that you will ever commit. Some of us have done it. Some of us are still working on it. First sacrifice you're going to do, the first human sacrifice you're going to do is your old self. The hardest breakup for a lot of us is our old self. Because that's where all the memories are attached to. That's where all the emotional things are attached to. I remember my first steps And I remember my first breakup. I remember my first true love. And I remember my first party. And I remember my first drink. And I remember my first time smoking weed. And I remember all that is attached to the old you. Now, until you kill your old self, you can't autopsy it. You can't poke at something that's living. You can't dissect it when it's living. It's on the aspect. So once you kill your old self and you lay it out there on the table, you lay all the cards out on the table, you can autopsy it. And you can look at all your traumas. You can look at all these events and what they taught you and what they showed you. And that's how you take yourself to your higher self. Because you can take the pieces that were beneficial, you can leave the other pieces on the table. Until you do that, everything's going to remain the same. If you need, inherently, Eddie Griffin said that in a special, if you need a book to tell you right from wrong, you need mental help. You came into this world, you inherently knew you couldn't kill your mother. You shouldn't kill your mother. You shouldn't kill your parents. You shouldn't kill your grandmother. You shouldn't kill your sister, brother. You shouldn't kill people. Inherently, you knew that. Go back deeper and just understand what was written down, the lines of Mayat. Our original balance system, our original laws, 42 of them, which connects to the causal nerves around your brain. That once you do and commit all of these acts and understand the reason for all these acts that you're going through, is to take you to where you're at right now. Everything that has happened brought you to a point. Now you're at the crossroads. Now you're at the crossroads. Do you steady want to starve, or do you want to find salvation? Similar to when you go to the pastor and it says, "Are there any lost? Are there any lost sheep in the flock that want to find salvation? Come to me, I can provide you salvation." We already know the only person that can save you is you. If you're in your house and you slip and you fall on the floor, the only person that can make that phone call or crawl to the phone, cell phone, whatever, some people have landline phones somewhere, and you fall in your house, who is going to pick you up? Either you or representations of yourself that would help you. Ultimately, it's only you that's going to be able to pick you up. It's you that takes the steps to you getting better. It's you takes the steps to rising. It's you. It's all about you. You got over 6 million cells in your body working for you. That makes you the generator, operator, destroyer. You have all that working inside of you to better you. All that's inside of you to better you, work for you. But we feed it poison. We ingest toxins. We allow all this negative into us. We allow all this negative energy to reflect outside of us and allow more negatives to reinforce it. And then we sit here wondering why our lives are the way they are. You wonder why you're struggling right now at this very moment. You wondering why you're struggling. Because all you can think about and see is struggle. All you see is the friend around you that's struggling, so you want to go help them. And now you're struggling. Now they can't help you. Now y'all both sitting there struggling. Now y'all both sitting on the couch eating ramen noodles. Wishing somebody's going to. Now you want to attract somebody else into that web so they'll help you guys until they don't have anything. Then all three of y'all sitting in the living room sharing a bowl of ramen noodles. Now y'all waiting on somebody to come save y'all. I watched the video a long time ago, and it had two what's it called, and it was also very subliminal. It had the bar in between. It showed two lives of two different men. This one man down here, he was going through his day. He was going to his job. He was always sad, going through his job, going through all this stuff. And then he fell to his knees. They were both going through the same things on both sides. That's both different perspectives. But in the bottom one, he fell on his knees and he felt like he was praying on a cross. And then it minimized that one. And it went to the top one. And it had a dude, he was wearing, it was another Caucasian gentleman. And he was like, I'm going to get you a job. And then the dude on the top became a preacher or a priest. And then it showed and then it brought them both together. This black man was still now talking to the other guy. He was homeless. And then this dude was going around through the homeless people in the area. And he saw that dude. And he said, and it was like, yeah, turn your life over to God. The subliminal of that thought process, this on the top and him on top and him on the bottom, that showed that one aspect of it. He's down here going through hell. And the dude at the top became another conduit of the problem that we're in. And then was handing this dude down here some food. That's your starvation being their salvation. As long as outside of you, people can feel like they can help you just enough, they have salvation. They can be at peace. They can go home and sleep. As long as your boss at your job can provide you enough hours based on your works, they can go home and sleep comfortably. They can look you dead in your face and be like, you can tell them your times is hard. The only thing they can offer you is what? Some more hours, some more time at the job. So now you spend less time at home worrying, and you're now in this false sense at work, working to go home to the same shit. But now you think in your mind, now you're emotionally, I got a few more hours so I can do a little, so I can catch up on some of these bills. The hand that can feed you is the hand that can starve you. The hand that feeds you can be the same hand that starves you. You allowing somebody outside of you to feed you, give you information, funnel you information at that point, funnel you and give you scraps of information, give you scraps to yourself, give you scraps so you can sit here and stink in your mind because you're emotionally feel good. These are good people because they're giving me something that I didn't have before. But then you're sitting there, now I have some freedom. On my weekend, I'm gonna go grab a bottle and go hang out with some people. But I don't want to be like them. I want to be more like them. I want to be more like them. So you mimic what they do. You go around your friends with that money, with that resource that they gave you, the scraps that they gave you. and you show these scraps to your friends and you give them what little and they settle for you, and you just keep this damn circle going along. Now you stuck in this perpetual circle. You stuck in limbo, going on until you die physically. Then your energy is released from your body. You transcend, and then they got all your power because they don't have to worry. They ain't got to keep you alive to keep the energy moving. They ain't broke you down enough. Now your energy goes back into the ether. You back in limbo. You didn't learn anything, and then you repeat and you come back here as another child anyway. So you stay a child forever because they're children. When they go away forever. When they go away forever. They go, their energy absorbed back into, and they're gone. They can't come back. The reason that we keep coming back to where we're at is because we're not learning. We're not embracing ourselves. We don't understand our true power. The reason we keep going through what we're going through is because we're not embracing ourselves and valuing ourselves enough to separate from what the hell is around us. They're going to continue winning outside of you because you don't know who you are. You don't know what you are. The reason you keep being attracted to all these things outside of you that actually become very detrimental after a while is because you don't know what you are. Since you don't understand what you are, you don't even take the understanding in what you keep putting into yourself. So that takes the thought process of, are you controlling it or is it controlling you? Are your emotions in check or are they checking you? Only thing that can oppress you is you. Only thing that can oppress us is us. Only thing that can stop you is your own mind. So the only oppressor is you. Only thing that can oppress you is stuff you give power to. Your power is in your thoughts. So when you think something's oppressing you and you give it so much power based on the thought process of the environment that you came from, guess what happens to you? The same thing over and over and over again. You start sitting there like, oh my God, these people over here, they're so powerful and so smart. But then you look at these countless fucking videos, these motherfuckers run around praying grab ass. Borderline gay shit. We emulate everything that they do. Remember, you embrace what you love, or you become what you hate. So we'll sit here every single day and you'll hear somebody talking about fuck the white man, fuck white supremacy, fuck the white man. But since you ain't taking the thought process to understanding why they're at where they're at and why they do what they do, we mimic it. Since we don't value ourselves, and we have such a self-hatred for ourselves, as men, as brothers, they white girls look real good to us because they're servants. So they have that servitude. They're docile. Our women are angry. And since we don't want the challenge of fixing ourselves, we don't even want to help fix our women. And since we in our lower self and we inhale, we want to feed the physical parts of ourselves. There's a mosquito flying around. Sorry about that. Since we want to feed our physical selves, we give into the injections. We give into the false sense of superiority. I had a whole thought process about white supremacy. And Marcus Garvey said our issue was there's not enough niggas acting white. That was some powerful fucking knowledge. There's not enough white people. There's not enough niggas acting like white people. The same way that these people, in reality, the same way that they put their race first and put themselves ahead and have those thought processes and ideas, that's what we need to start doing. The same way that they don't like you being in their neighborhoods, they don't embrace you being in their neighborhoods unless you're acting like them, or you're acting like basically a slave to their narrative. Same way we need to start acting. The only way we can start doing this is by embracing our own culture. I feel more at home going into a voodoo shop than I do going into a Foot Locker or Champs. I feel more comfortable going into a crystal shop than going to the Diamond District. That's a jewelry section of New York. I feel more comfortable going to Sprouts, the farmer's market, or Whole Foods than I going to a Carly C's or a IGA. So when someone tells me that I act white, me understanding the etymology of words, me being an avid occultist and always studying, I can look them dead in their face and say, thank you. You're right. I do act white. Because I understand that the definition for white is us. It's this synonymous to us. And the definition of black or colored is synonymous to them. That's why when they first had in history, take a little gander in history, you can Google it, about free white persons, and they made that free white persons law. That was the original thought process for us. And then you look at the $5 Indian thing and all these other history facts. All these are learning facts for us. But we don't want to learn. We rather have that repetitious comment, that repetitious actions to things that no longer benefit us. All because it's synonymous to these color barriers. Every single day we sit here and take this thought process and become synonymous to one side or other of the coin, instead of understanding, looking at both sides of the coin in order to melt down that coin in the alchemy to create something else. That's where we're at. All this knowledge is to help us destroy the infrastructure in which we're encased in, we're trapped in, and take ourselves to the next level. Starving our ego, feeding our soul, allowing that fire to rise, to burn everything. Surprise, revelations. All of these things is what we need to be working on. And all of those things start with us. All these little pieces start with us. Going back to go forward, we talked about in the beginning of the lecture, that thought process of what around us was based on our survival. And now the things that are around us, if they're still around us, they're becoming detrimental to us getting forward. That simple thought that, but that's my friend of 18 years. You're stuck on the emotional part of that being your friend for 18 years. But you're not looking at it as this person hasn't changed for 18 years. If I stay there, I won't change. And then I can't provide the example of what it is to change. I can't go back to my hood where I came from unless I have the resources based on the knowledge that I've gained to go change it. That's me understanding on that basis point that I'm my own savior. That's that thought process. It's common sense. The highest science, Tariq Bey says that it's common sense. The highest science on that part is common sense. Because common sense is taking the knowledge of something that's right there in your face and turning it into something else. You know, one second. You know, one more second, be right back. You know inherently, sorry about that. You know inherently what you need to do. But we have to understand that if we're not healed, if we're not healing, we're being, if you're not healing or you're not learning how to heal, you will be driven by your traumas and not your own intuition. So your trauma of being, we were in captivity and we were always at the bottom and all these things, and that break away from the reality of what we actually are, but a stop to what we actually were, was actually prophesied. Taking that thought process in itself, you'll be driven by the trauma. I don't want to be a slave no more. So I'm going to fight not to be a slave no more. So you're going to survive just enough not to be a slave anymore. But since you didn't understand why you were put into that box, you become that box. I ain't got to put a whip on you. I ain't got to put no noose around your neck. You'll go put the crucifix on yourself and go get the biggest crucifix. You'll go grab the biggest crucifix, put it around your neck, and invoke all your energy into that crucifix. You'll invoke all negative energy into that crucifix, and I can use it for something positive. You starving to be accepted as a human is their salvation, because they can show you what you already showed them. We showed them how to be human or humane. We showed them morals. We showed them these things. You show these people around you how to be better, how to get a fast car, how to get that nice house. For most of us in the thought process, we're sitting here generations and generations on welfare or on some type of government assistance. So all I can show somebody is what I've known and what I've been taught. So if all I ever knew was the system, all I can show you is how to work around the system, which I'm not actually working the system. I'm just using the system to my advantage. But actually, I'm not using the system to the advantage. This system is using me to its advantage because I'm still in the system. That's that key. In order to make yourself better, you must step out of the box. You must step out of the system and the paradigm that you're in. You must understand that this is an illusion, and all these countless distractions keep you emotionally tied to the illusion, so the illusion stays. No matter what you want to do, no matter how many laws you try to get passed, no matter what you try to get changed, all you're doing is asking your master to give you some more corn liquor. All you're asking is your master to put hardwood floors with some varnish on them and some carpet in your slave house. That's all you're asking for. All you're asking is the warden, which is by your creation, to give you some more free time. That's all you're asking for. Give you some more talk time on the books. Give you some more talk time. Give you some more commissary so you can get some more honey buns and ramen noodles. That's all we're doing. The longer that you do that, the longer that this shit exists. The more that you break away from these traditions that have been put onto you, with you having lack of understanding, this shit gonna stay the same. The mundane is going to continue to either impress you, or this time it's going to disgust you. Either it's impressing you or disgusting you, but it still has your attention. The longer that you sit here and say you hate the plight of our people, but you want to try to tweak a system that was designed for the plight of your people, the longer it's going to exist. It's still going to play out because you keep giving your energy to it. You keep saying that that's more powerful than you. You're saying that the system is more powerful than you, even though it's your power that drives the system. So your power going into the system was what makes the system powerful in the first place. You giving your attention to that negativity that's in your life gives it the power to stay in your face. That breaks down that niggas ain't shit. The longer you keep saying niggas ain't shit, you're going to keep seeing ain't shit niggas. You keep saying these hoes ain't loyal, the more you're going to keep seeing these unloyal hoes. You got to change your mindset. That's the only way that new plate can be set. That's the only way you can start nourishing your mind. That's the only way you can start taking yourself to your next level. It's the only way. It's one of two ways. There's only one of two ways. Believe the illusion or destroy the illusion. Live for humanity or destroy humanity and create something better. I ain't been human for a long time. I remember when I was little, like 5, 6, I think I was like 8, I thought I was a robot. I didn't know how far ahead thinking I was thinking. Like, damn, when I became an adult and I started working and following that same methodology, work, sleep, ooh, go out and club, work, sleep, go out and club. I didn't realize that, damn, I am a robot. But now that I understand that, I understand that I'm something more. I don't know why I just thought about the Dark Knight when Albert said, he said that. We're something more. The reason that we go through the shit that we can go through because we're built for it. The reason all this shit keeps happening to you because you built for it. But it's up to you to orchestrate the change. It's up to us to orchestrate change in our narrative. It's up to us to create ourselves into a better, higher self, to lay the example for ones around us. It's up to us to say, we gotta let the dead lay with the dead. It's up to us. It's up to you first. Killing your older self is going to make you more selfish than you've ever been, because you benefit, because you understand and value yourself. If you don't value yourself, there's nothing outside of you that can be better. You don't value yourself, that means your environment is going to be of less value. That's why they created the projects. So you can look over a fence at some green grass. And since you feel that you're not worth that green grass, now understanding that you are the composition of that green grass, when you start talking about the scientific part of it, guess what happens? You'll never get that green grass. Because you feel that you got to submit to that, the way that green grass was gotten. Not understanding that the grass was yours anyway. The energy that made that grass came from you. It was the same energy that's within you. We get stuck on that thought process every single day of our lives. Our starvation for love comes in the form of lust. Our starvation for growth comes in the salvation of routines. Now you feel more human. You feel more like who you think you are, and less of what you know you are. It's all a game, man. Great Baba did great said that. It's all a game. We sitting here on a chessboard and we're pawns. Not understanding that the pawn is actually the strongest player in the damn game. Okay, the queen can move anywhere on the board. Yeah, the king can move certain angles, knights, bishops, rooks. But the pawn can move anywhere. It can protect other pieces. It can become other pieces. So are you going to continue existing as a human in this human illusion? Or are you going to learn how to create more? We are the creators. We are from that source of energy. We are the creators. We are that source of energy. We are that strength. We are that power. We are that excellence. There's nothing greater than that. There's nothing greater than the feeling of knowing that you can become the best you at any given moment. All you got to do is set the intention, set the thought process, build yourself, grow yourself. But it all starts with you. You're your own savior and salvation. You can be your own starvation, and you can be your own starvation. You can be the own person starving you and your own person giving your own salvation based on your whole thought process. You can sit here the entire time because you need something. You find salvation in that bottle. You felt more in control in that bottle. but you're not really healing. You're simply just denying the inevitable. That when it all comes down to it, what are you outside of it? Who are you before the trauma? Who are you before the pain? Who are you before those devastating moments in your life? Who are you before the indoctrination? Who are you before your parents gave you your religion? Or whoever paternal figure gave you your religion? Who are you before you were fed what you were fed? Getting back to that entity is the key to getting to your higher self. Some of us have kids, nieces, nephews. That is the universe showing you what you were. And it's a dual-sided learning experience because as much as you're learning from them, they're learning from you. When you look into the mirror and you look at yourself, who do you see? Who do you tell yourself that you are? That's that self-realization, how much you love yourself. Can you stand in the mirror and look at yourself truly naked? That's the only time you can realize what you need to fix. The only time you can realize what you need to fix is when you look at yourself naked in the mirror. The only time you can start to take apart and rebuild and take that alchemy, that alchemist, natural alchemist energy in yourself and look at that occult and to that hidden side of yourself is when your older self is laying on that slab in front of you and you start your autopsy. That's the only way you can get to your higher self. All the methodologies, all the science, all the rituals, all that other stuff, all the other stuff about divine sciences, that shit don't hold any weight until you worked on yourself first. Because once you start realizing the magic and the rituals or all of self, you start realizing that I don't believe in magic because I am magic. What you understand when you start wearing the embodiment of your golds and your stones and your crystals, and you wearing the center, you can put an ankh on all day and understand it's a symbol of life. But until you understand that you are the symbol of life, it don't hold no fucking weight. So you can argue about it all day. You can argue to a motherfucker that is literally a religious psychopath all day. But until you can show the example in the physical embodiment, which is yourself as the example of it, it don't hold any fucking weight. All you're doing is battling back and forth the realities. You're debating back and forth the realities. So you become live reality TV. And based on who used bigger words and stuff that they don't understand and who can apply to somebody's emotion, that's how they're winning. So that design, and you looking for your salvation, these motherfuckers ain't, a lot of these people, and I've looked at a lot of these videos. They're so argumentative and angry, and they use so much ego and it's so much fucking ego, and they sound so fucking angry, and then they call it passion, but they recite the same old rhetoric. They tell you that someone over there is stupid. They don't know anything. But apparently they know something because they took the time to study it. And they came up with their interpretation based on their divine path, on what they're on. to provide that knowledge. So if knowledge is infinite, there is no wrong. There is no right. That doesn't exist. There is no good. There is no bad. Depending on how it's used is how it works. That's the key to knowledge. That's how it works. That's how it comes together. That's how it formulates. That's how it's structured. You got to get out of that moralism bullshit they put in our heads. That's good and that's bad. The energy is all inclusive. It's all encompassed in the one. It's how it's used, whether it's negative or positive. If I sit here and say something about blood sacrifices, someone can look at me and be like, oh, he into sacrificing bodies. Not understanding that if you go into sexual alchemy, one drop of semen is like, I want to say it's like 10 to 10,000. It's like one drop of semen is like 10 drops of blood. One drop of semen is like, I want to say it's 10. I think it's 10,000. I'll look that up just to remember that. But one drop of semen is 10. I think it's like damn near. I know they say 5 drops of semen is like a pint of blood. So if I understand ritual sacrifice, and I go look at something about Aleister Crowley, and then you uncode his stuff from the OTO, I look at sexual alchemy, and then I understand, and I can go deeper into the sexual alchemy thought process. Every time I perform the sacred energy exchange, even in that thought process, you think about, I did a God thought a long time ago about masturbating to manifest. And our queen can sit there and have a nice time with herself, and whatever she thinks about while she's doing it, and that intention, setting that intention in her head, when she hits that climax, it comes into reality, into fruition, because you understanding that every time that menstrual cycle comes on, that's that blood sacrifice. And then since we still stuck in this mundane shit, that's nasty. Now understanding sexual sorcery, that is the time to do the most magic. That's why you look at when the moon is full and our women's cycle is on the feminine energy, so it's in the moon cycle. So that's when the moon is full. When you start taking care of your body and start putting more holistic naturalness into your body and putting your body back into its natural rhythm, your body be in cycle with the damn moon. If you understand that when the sun rises, and you put the simple thought process, when the sun rises, that's where you get the term morning wood from, because we rise to the sun and we set to the moon, then you understand why the only thing you should be worshiping is your goddess. We should be worshiping our queens. That's the only goddess that I represent. That's the only goddess that I will sit here and represent and worship is my queens. Then you get to the opposite, like the black woman is God. Yes. Generator, operator, destroyer. And the constraints, she has all of the constraints, because all God means is that they have all of the constraints to create life. Generator, operator, destroyer. That also goes to the aspect that the black man is God, because through him, he has all of the constraints that we're combining the masculine and feminine energy, which is our women, which is our divine queens and the divine kings. Coming together is the only way to create anew. Only way. We starving ourselves for nothing. Running around here arguing and debating over nothing. hating on each other? Who taught you to hate yourself? Who taught you not to look into your own eyes and see your power? Who taught you? The ones that you taught? The only reason that we had the ability to teach them and still have the ability to teach them, the reason that they appropriate all of our shit is because it doesn't work without you. Remove the power source, the structure collapses. Remember they put that thought process? Destroy the mind, keep the body. So we got to get to getting our minds back. Once you get your mind back, you get your power back. Once you get your power back, the structure and where your mind was captive no longer exists. Once you start understanding that, that's the key to your rising. Until you understand that, you're going to be in the same circle that you're in. You're going to be arguing back and forth or whoever's. Now, instead of us arguing back and forth on whoever's crucifix is bigger, it's became another pissing contest of whose ankh is bigger. Who has more knowledge? Who gives a fuck who has more knowledge? The whole aspect of this thing is we're supposed to be sharing the knowledge and applying it to our everyday lives. That's the whole key. The knowledge, the prosperity, true prosperity is the knowledge. Because when you transition, all is left is everything that you ever did and everything that you said. That's the knowledge of you. That's all that's left in the physical form is your knowledge, is your mental. Everything that you taught. You can sit here and leave all the degrees that you have, leave all the debt that you have. All we leaving is debt. Repeating the generational curse of leaving debt. We leave debt. We leave heartache. If some of us go into some of our people that passed away closets, whole other side of them that they try to keep hidden. The fuck were they really into? We got to get better. Their idea, their salvation is keeping us sick. Us living in chaos and turmoil all the time and give them harmony. Look what I do. Because what do? We go blame them. You'll blame your friend for you not saying no. You'll chastise your child based on the programming of slavery instead of sitting them down and actually having a conversation with them. Because you didn't deal with your traumas as a child. Now you don't know how to deal with their traumas as your child grows up. Since we didn't deal with our traumas, everything outside of us, since we don't know how to deal with ourselves, we allow them to deal with us. We don't deal with ourselves, so we can't deal with them. They're a reflection of you. All they're doing is refracting everything you hate about yourself. That's all they're doing. Because they show it every day in the damn media. They call you a savage. You think you a savage. Someone makes a song talking about being a savage. You sing the song about being a savage. That goes all the way back to singing them damn Negro spirituals. Sing your damn to me, man. Amazing Grace. Take me to the King. Every day you want to sing your demeanment, but then get mad when somebody doesn't give you what you say you're worth. You don't have a worth. So they give you what they think you're worthy of. They feed you. They feed you poison and starve you from the antidote. You're not even realizing that you're the antidote. Major keys. To some people, when you start speaking like this, you ain't speaking nothing but light. I tell people all the time, if it resonates with you, cool. The first thing to apply it is to your old self. That's how you destroy your old self. And you got to destroy the remnants. You got to eradicate everything. So post it on your timeline. Share it to a friend. If you're trying to get into more financial matters and investing in growing yourself, tell everybody you having a party and you're going to watch Dr. Boyce Watkins podcast. The ones that show up, those are the ones you need to start paying attention to because they want to grow. The ones that don't show up, they showed you exactly what they were. Not everybody is going to come. Everybody's always going to get to the same space, but not everybody's going to come. And that's okay. I've become okay with that. My ego would keep me trying to keep uplifting my people. But if they're not on the same wavelength, they're not my family. They're not they don't resonate with the same message with me. Their souls don't resonate and light up like mine. They're not a part of my soul tribe. I only can speak to my soul tribe and lay seeds to everybody else. When the fruit grows, hope that they eat of it and they learn to nourish themselves. They got to get past this ignorance is bliss. But that's on them. For us, it's time for us to grow up. It's time for us to rise. It's time for us to embrace our God and goddess energy, or the God energy. It's time for us to stand in the physical form as kings and queens. Understand that the gods and the goddesses that we are creating our own world. Understanding as titans that we swallow this chaos. We take in this chaos and create. From that form of creation as kings and queens, we survey. And when we come down into our passion, whether it's numerology, reading our tarot, doing the tarots, doing the magic, doing the rituals, those are our divine sciences that we do in the physical form to move forward. The more we start realizing that, the better it gets. It's going to be negative to some. It's going to be positive to us. In order for us to get more light, you got to go back in that dark. This burnt out light has been burnt out for a long time. That's why it isn't working for a lot of us. And I mean a lot of us. You hear it on the news every single day. More and more of our women are leaving the church for witchcraft, and they moniker witchcraft, and they put the moniker of witchcraft on there because we tell spookers, oh, they want to be witches. Ain't that devil shit. The next time someone calls you a devil worshiper, say you're right. The best way to get rid of a fool is to agree. Because a fool feels like they know everything. And the main part of this occult shit, realizing you don't know shit. Ego makes you think you know everything. We gotta realize we don't know shit. Because the more you realize you don't know anything, the more you want to know. The minute that you say you know everything, you stifle your ability to attain more knowledge. You age. A lot of us are aging because we believe in time and not alignment. And since we only believe in time, that's where that consumption comes from. So we're constantly starving, not realizing that we can nourish ourselves, feed ourselves. You went through your whole life and then you became an adult and you realized that you had to feed yourself, you had to bathe yourself, clothe yourself. That's adulting, right? So why in certain aspects of your life you still want to be a child, but you want to be held in regards to being an adult? A child has to depend on something outside of itself in order to nourish it, to clothe it, to shelter it. So the dead that are walking around us, doing all this protesting, yelling to the top of their lungs, like children, they look at us like the damn devil. Our own people will look at you like the damn devil. Because of fear and spookism. Telling somebody some shit's dark. It's crazy. Fucking psychopaths. So basically, when they become zombies, they get indoctrination. That's how they become zombies. But then they call you dead. It's time to become the day. It's time to rise. We're going to get even deeper and deeper in that rabbit hole. That's the only way. But as we do it, we're going to learn how to apply it. That's that missing link. We have to apply it. We can attain all the knowledge all day, spew between each other all day, debate about it all day, argue about that shit all fucking day. But until we start applying it to ourselves, ain't gonna fucking work. That good book said you're judged by your works. And that's exactly what's happening every single day. You debate and you come from a negative standpoint. In order for you to live, you must stay in that negative place. That transfer of energy. In the land of the blind, the man with one eye is king. Or we'll say Nietzsche's. So we're the rulers. So we must create the path. We must apply what we know. We must plant those seeds. That's the only way to our salvation and to end this starving. You look at the example, Akon did it. Akon supplied electricity to over 6,000 Africans. That makes you think, what the fuck they've been doing with all that money? Lil Jon built fucking now 2 schools in Ghana. The fuck they've been doing all that money we've been giving them? Once you know the truth, you see the lies everywhere. Once that eye opens and that crust is removed, and you see how great you are looking in the mirror, ain't no feeling better. Ain't nothing greater. Coming to the little wind down part. I'm mad that the music stopped a little bit. We're gonna work on that. First and foremost, go to turn the system off. Yeah, damn Japanese technology. I just wanted to say again that in my journey, get a little personal. In my journey, I've overcome so many obstacles just to get to this point. I remember at a point in my life where I always had that inspirational energy, and that shit would seem to come out of like nowhere. I can just always be inspirational in that thought process. It wasn't until now, me building these platforms that I'm on, and the stuff that I'm gravitating towards and using the energy around me and embracing the greatness that we came from, to understand working on my passions lead you to your purpose. So that's why I created the God thoughts at first. It was always thoughts that were always going through my mind and in my head into my balance. And I thought about it. I was like, they'll do no good in my head if I don't put them out there. So now we sit here, November 18th, 2018 is when I started the physical branding of For God Kings and For Goddess Queens. And I remember the first post I ever posted was about the chakra system. And I put in depth into the chakra system. And then I started promoting the God thoughts, and it was a learning process for me. And the more that I do it, even to this point right now, I look at how much example and how much I've grown. And in me working on myself is that true example. So now that I come from my higher self in that aspect, and now I can sit here and I went through where's my home? Am I consuming or am I savoring? All these things link because everything is everything encompassed into that energy, into that thought process. And then it gets deeper because we have to understand that the scary, the things that they show us that is scary. They'll show you an image on TV similar to when I did the promotion for this tonight's lecture, and I put the starving child and I put the starving man, and he's being handed a dollar bill. He was actually being, the original picture, he was being held up. He was being showed a pamphlet or a pamphlet. We have to literally look at the most grotesque and the most out of this world shit will make the most sense. The things that are mundane, we look at and we realize why they worked for so long. So to grow, ultimately, alchemy is through putrefaction. So we've been in shit long enough. We've had all these examples of turning shit into something savory. But to remove the emotion in humanity is the only way to actually understand these things. I like the way that feels. If you have any questions, comments, want to ask about books or whatever, do it around this time. Because the main thing I want us to get comfortable with is having conversations without emotion. It's not about being emotionless. It's about using our emotions less in the sense of controlling them. It ain't about being heartless. People have this strange idea about spirituality being all positive and light, but I understand it has to come from the dark. So that ugly shit, I'm gonna tell y'all something from my meditation, my experiences that's on that basic shit. When I meditate and I go to those higher realms and those higher spaces, be some of the most niggerish shit ever. When you think about some of our greats that have went on, they said some of the most realest niggerish shit ever. From Rick James and Dave Chappelle embracing that ether and doing the stories on the Chappelle show. I'm Rick James, bitch, that thought process. That's God level shit. When you think about Prince and what he did, this dude can wear, which was actually Mozart shirts. He was embodying Mozart because Mozart is black. So he was embodying that energy of Mozart. And the purple, it transitioned. Brother Panic does a whole lecture on that about Prince. He was this, the door was already open from Jimi Hendrix. So then Prince went and built the path to that door, to that energy. Said some of the realest shit. Isaac Hayes, all of these old energies. And then you start understanding why they took away the record player in that aspect. And because the diamond tip on the record player, carbon against carbon, creates that energy. It's circling around and it creates that energy and it heals us. That's why music used to heal us in that way. And that's why they went to the compact disc. It was on a laser. And that's when they have the music. It's all by design. That's basically what I'm trying to get to. It's all by design. So this music that's out right now, it has pain in it, but we don't translate to that pain because of the image that we're being shown. So since we haven't, it's no wonder why children are out here popping pills because that's the only way they've been taught to deal with pain. Don't deal with it, mask it. That came from our area when hip hop started. Yes, I just caught a mosquito in midair. That is a great psychic ability. It started in our era, then we had the drug dealer era. When that Reagan era came out, flooded the streets. So he started the physical realm with drugs. So our mental realms became about drugs. Because from the spiritual realm, we understood what drugs were and how to use those energies to take ourselves further. Now our kids are more separated in the physical realm. We're so separated spiritually. Now the children are talking about popping zanies all fucking day. And they sound like it. You got an art, you got Future. Nigga don't do any drugs. He's drug free, but he talks about drugs. because they know what sells. So they know what distraction to use. And that's when you go into the fraternity system. All this shit is by design. And as long as we react to it, as long as you say that you hate it, you give it power. As long as you give some type of thought, because even if you hate it, you still care about it. No, you got to care enough about it to hate it. That's what that, you become what you hate, but you embrace what you love. Right now, we embracing what we lust. Ain't nothing more beautiful. Ain't nothing going to be more beautiful than that dark. Yes, that's what we are. That's our divine magic. People don't really understand that we have to get past this thought process. We have to get past this thought process. Oh yeah, vegan M&Ms. They are unreal because they taste better than M&Ms actually, and they're all vegan. The colors are made with beets. Hang on, let me read that word. Yeah, beet juice, spinach, and spirulina extract. So every time I eat one of these, I'm getting my spirulina dosage. But yeah, we have to get into the etymology of understanding these words. Like heathen. I remember I felt bad for being called a heathen. But all heathen means is one that does not, I'm paraphrasing it, one that does not view the same views based on an ideology. So if I don't believe, and I have factual fact of the Jesus narrative actually being a narrative of us in that aspect, then of course I'm a heathen. Because I'm not going at just like pagan. Pagan's not a bad word. Remember, there's no good or bad. It just simply means that's why they cleared out all the pagans. Anybody that wasn't into this, what the new worship of the sun, pagans were worshiping nature and embodying nature. That goes into the history of Druids, and that goes more into the history when you're talking about St. Patrick's Day. You celebrate St. Patrick's Day at this point in time in your life, you are a lost nigga. Because St. Patrick's Day, little history on that. Look it up, real history of it. Got rid of the snakes. The snakes were the Twa people, or the Druids. The Druids and the Twa people, because the snake represented the Kundalini energy rising, or the cobra, and that's why on the headdresses they wore the snake, because they understood the balance to the energy rising to the top of their head. So when that happened, that's when the serpent, that's when the hood, that's why they always had the hood on the cowl, because now the energy is now encompassed around the head, coming to a head into that aspect. So when he removed all of the Twa people and the Druids, he was removing the knowledge or the people that were bestowing the same knowledge that was going against the church at that time. All of that is designed. That was going to that church at the time. So when you look at, I was looking at this book. Me and my queen went on a field trip, and actually it's a good book, Beginning for Sakras. But on the back of all the stuff in the store, kept saying New Age. And I laughed. Because what they consider New Age is our old spiritual science. Biggest key aspect is all of it is ours. Anyway, original people. Guess what? We invented all this shit. So when you read the Viking history about Thor, it's the same. Everything's in fragments. Another thing I love about him, everything's in fragments. So when you look at the story of Thor, if anybody's seen that Dr. Umar video clip, it's way back on my timeline. But he talks about the Orishas, and he talks about the superheroes, and I forgot the other dude's name, but he does a breakdown of all superheroes. Even Batman, he does the Batman, he tracks all the way back to India. But Thor was Shango, and Oshun was, of course, his wife, but the archetype for Storm is Oshun, and then Obatala, and you go all the way down these, you look at their characteristics. Remember, they do not share knowledge. They put a 10-year gap at least between the knowledge. So it takes the time for them to put a methodology for them to make it so it's understandable. So they took our mythos, or our myths. Hold my laptop up closer. This is where we get real into it. They take our mythos and they make it their mythos. So when you look at Greek history or Greek mythology, it's our mythology, because now you must understand the separation between the Phoenicians and the Greeks when they turn it into the word Greeks, when they convert it to Greeks. The Phoenicians, everything in between the Phoenicians, which was us, our original energy when we came into the physical form there, the Phoenicians, the mythos between Greece, Greece now, and the Phoenicians is the mythology connects it. There's so much of our information that has been plagiarized, so we don't look at it. So when you look at that, for example, I put a post in the page talking about the Etruscans, and I'm gonna go deep on the Etruscans. Those are the original Romans. And as they were pushing out, remember, they take our history. Whenever you take over a civilization, you take what you can use and you claim it as your own. What you cannot use or you do not understand or that you can't circumvent and put into yourself, you make evil or you make bad. That's where you take all the attributes of Osiris, which is Osir, Isis, which is Set, and you start going down the line, Anubis, which is Anpu, and you go down the line of all these principles, which are actually principles, Thoth, Basset, all these attributes. When you look at when they do, all these are attributes of Set or of the original, which is they took all of the aspects that are of us that was good, basically, which was of us, our dark, and they put light on it. So that's when you see the raw part. That's actually the sun. So we have to get back into the aspect of killing all of this shit, basically, to get back to our dark to create new light and take ourselves to the realm. The thought process is the reason everything was built in monumental. When you look at monumental Egypt, you look at monumental Greece, and when you look at Greece now, a lot of them statues, the Hermes statue and all these other statues, their history goes back to the Phoenicians. You have to look at the etymology, you understand the words of going back. Socrates, I cannot think of the other one. What's his name? Right now. Socrates. The father of medicine, what was his name? Well, we know the father of medicine was Ptah. Then they turned Ptah into, I think Ptah, they did turn into Socrates. No, the Greek, I can't think of him off the top of my head right now. But that's our original. But they took it and they flipped it, they put their face on front of it. So when they take our information, there's a 10-year gap before they put it out. So they have to create a methodology that makes them like, oh, they invented this. So we'll say, oh, he created They created what we do for the medical medicine and health in that aspect. But if you go look at the meta nature on the walls or the hieroglyphs on the walls, there's whole tablets with all of these instruments, all the medical instruments that are out that they use today to this day that they practice medicine with. We invented those. But when you go further back, so when they talk now, they're starting to bring out uh Reiki healing, sound therapy, binaural beats, all of these things. These were our ancient. That's our ancient. That's our ancient science. We understood there was a point in time where, depending on who you were and what energy principles were about of you, that's the tune that they took you to. That's where they had the smaller pyramids and the smaller tombs. They would take you into this tomb, lay you onto this slab, and they would activate sound therapy to heal you, because the only thing that can actually heal you is rest. So if your body's at rest, that's how our bodies heal. In that aspect, our bodies heal onto that aspect. So that's why when we would go to our mothers and fathers and grandfathers, that's why when they went to Studio 54, those clubs back in the day, and had the records playing, and then they had like the jazz bands. Jazz is the most incomplete anomaly of music ever, because it's not finished. It's not supposed to fit. Our way of life is not supposed to work. We weren't supposed to take the little bits of nothing that they gave us and take it into what we have now. We weren't supposed to do that. That's the chaos. We're chaos beings. We thrive in chaos. But since we don't understand thriving in chaos, that's where we get that negative aspect. That's why we attract so far much to negativity. And that's why we get so excited when we see, I have never seen one episode of Power, but they said ghosts going around killing all types of people that keep messing with Tasha or whoever she is. Or you look at, that's why we're attracted to the negative, because all we believe in is the negative parts. That's why they can continue to mimic and replicate, because all they can do is mimic and replicate shit. They can't do anything new because they don't have the peace. The peace to it is the soul, the sun. It doesn't work for them. So even if they do something, that's why if you look at it and they try to put that narrative like we're always better, because it goes down to genetics, and they try to make it bad and make it good. You understand the distraction. So when they talked about genetics and being superior, and then they give you that banner of white supremacy, and you say white supremacy is bad, and then you're stuck in that thought process of the church and being good and everybody's the same. When you have that aspect of your life into that thought process, you don't want to look at white supremacy in the positive aspects. White supremacy is simply them putting themselves first. We don't understand. Some of us don't understand value in our worth, so we don't know how to put ourselves first. But then you look at the history, how history was dictated. Our starvation is their salvation. That's the whole premise of that thought process. When you sit there and look at it, even during the times when we were in our most detrimental, which was during when we were prisoners of war, we also got to start breaking away a lot of these words. I don't even like saying slavery anymore. We're prisoners of war. We're now still in that same war. We don't even realize that we're fighting. And since we don't realize that we're fighting, we don't even know the turning point of the war. So we don't even understand getting into the turning point of the war. So since we don't understand that, that's why debating is so prevalent, and all these debates and all this separation in our community is so prevalent, because we don't understand that it's not a physical war. It's a spiritual war. It's always been a spiritual war. It's spiritual versus physical. How do you win a fight? How does a eagle subdue a snake? It doesn't fight them on the ground where the snake can move. It takes it to the air. It takes it out of its element. So how do they win? They take you out of your element. By nature, they take us out of our element every single day. By me telling you that McDonald's got 2 for $2 fish sandwiches and you got $4 in your pocket until you get paid and you're hungry, you're starving, your salvation becomes those 2 fish sandwiches at McDonald's. Common sense. Take away. I had a conversation earlier this morning about the consumption of why health food seems to be always so high, but the cheap food is so cheap. That goes spiritual, mental, and physical. Everything. It's all on the same tandem. If I make something unattainable to you, you don't even look towards it. But if I put you in an environment where the cheap shit is normal, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get what you can do to survive. This bag, which is 142 grams or 5 ounces at Sprouts. I have no Sprouts because there's a Sprouts here where I'm at. Bag is $3.24. Bag in M&M's, you go to the gas station, them shit's $1.89. Me understanding knowledge, I can read off every ingredient on the back of this box, on the back of this bag. Dark chocolate, chocolate liqueur, sugar, cocoa butter, vanilla. Roasted peanuts, peanut oil. Organic cane sugar, rice starch colored with beet juice, spirulina extract, organic tapioca syrup, acai gum, carnauba and tapioca starch. Read every ingredient on that. Try to read the back of the ingredient bag or back of M&M's. Or I feel like I'm doing like a spill for food. Portobello jerky. They have vegan jerky. It's softer, but sometimes I want that chew of portobello jerky. I can read all of the ingredients on the back of this package. Since we don't have knowledge in that aspect, you'll go grab a bag of M&Ms based on the value on the front of it. $1.89 versus $3.29 or $3.79. So you'll go buy that bag of M&Ms. You can't pronounce shit on the back of that bag. Because if you could, you would look up the knowledge. You would look up the definition of what's on the back of that bag to better understand what the fuck am I putting in my body. If I tell you love is about annihilation, it's delicious. Love is about annihilation to its truest form, and you ask a Christian a simple question. You love Jesus so much. What are his brother's names? What did he do between the ages of 12 to 33? And they'll try to give you the historical event of events. What he did between 12 and 23, that's you. Our 33 vertebrae on our spine leads to the pineal gland. And around the pineal gland are 12 cardinal nerves. That's the 12 disciples. It seems less spooky and less hard to understand. That's what we need to get into, is the knowledge is you. All of the knowledge is yourself. All the knowledge is yourself. What we tend to stray away from is actually obtaining that knowledge, growing within our knowledge. Well, we got off track. No, we're not off track. We're right on track. Something as simple as I got a what's it called? I have a couple. I did a couple of super deep thoughts. Make sure I'm in the right picture. Did a couple of deep thoughts. I did one on Sodom and Gomorrah. I saw it and it was very interesting. I read deeper into it. But we're going into ourselves. Simple as mythology. It reads all geographical areas and people in the Bible represent the human anatomy: glands, organs, veins, arteries, muscles, bones, lungs, blood, spinal fluid, etc. All are anthropomorphic in that aspect. So I get that book. I grabbed the concordance to understand those pieces of the book. So similar when you look at the book of Genesis and it says the Lord made, and then all you see is Lord is the rule is over something. So basically, if you don't understand what you're reading, you initiate the spell that's initiated into it as they do the repetition of it. That's why when you see these churches never telling any other story, you go to the book of Genesis, tell a couple of inserts, go to the book of this, Matthew, Dave, but it's basically a pamphlet because in you understanding that there's 16 chapters out of the Bible that are not there. Thomas, Jubilees, Book of Enoch. These are the missing pieces of you because it would destroy everything else. Like there was one, Sodom stands for the anus, and Gomorrah stands for the testicle, your balls and your ovaries. Represents the lower animal nature within consciousness, the lower animal nature within consciousness in man and in woman. Fire, the higher consciousness from heaven, higher thought, burns away the lower animal nature. That's the metaphor of Sodom and Gomorrah. You're going into that aspect of it. When you look at, for example, when you use the Baphomet, and Brother Panic, he does occultlectures.com, occult lectures on YouTube. You can check that out. I'm going to go into what I gathered and I get more information on it. When he breaks down, or the breakdown of it is, one interpretation of the Baphomet, when you look behind the Baphomet, he's sitting on the earth, or he's sitting on his lower self. And he's in tune and in control of knowing where he's at. So getting into the aspect of knowing where we're at, until you know where you're at and know why it's there, you can't change anything. And that's what we get. And that's where we get lost at, is understanding these things, because we come from the literal part of it, understanding it's an allegory, it's metaphysical, it's a metaphor. The metaphor is used to explain us, similar to the mythos of Greek. And then so to understand the Greek mythos, you'll go grab the book on the Kabbalah, and you look at the Kabbalah tree, you look at the Djed pillar. The Djed pillar is actually one of the pieces where they explain when Osiris or Asur was chopped up into 14 pieces, but then Aset went and got him and put him back together. But the only thing she couldn't put back together was they couldn't find his penis. They found it floating in a river somewhere to reconnect that to him. So in order to bring him back to life, and that's when you get more into like the sexual energy, of understanding divine feminine, divine masculine. And then that goes into the opening of the mouth ceremony. We're going to get back about it. You go into the opening of the mouth ceremony, which is removing the veil, which is where basically we invented the sitting on the face. And then that's where you looked at why porn came into that aspect and why it was so perverted. It was everything they do is a perversion to us. It's a perversion. What they don't understand, they're going to make seem so evil. And then you understand the connection of why they say no sex before marriage. Now, understanding that the synonymous of marriage and the sacred energy exchange, every time you lay with somebody, you're becoming one with them. And under the unity of marriage, the original moniker for marriage is every time you lay and become one. It's when two become one. So when you have sex, you're becoming one. But since we don't have that thought, we're not doing that thought process. Some of us don't have that thought process to that. They're not synonymous. We've categorized marriage is marriage, sex is sex. They're in tandem. Every time you lay with somebody, you're performing the marriage ceremony. So everything of this person in that union and everything of you and everything of that person are becoming synonymous. But since we're not trained on that thought process and we're kept in that program and you're not healed, this person isn't healing. They're coming together. It's two unhealed vessels coming together that are just going to keep making the same thing. That's why when you look at people talking about relationships now and why relationships don't work, the reason relationships don't work is because you're not going through the traumatic events that led you to what made you what you were. We're not working on the programming that programmed us into what we were. So when we coming together with another person, whether it's directly or indirectly, the toxicity from their life and the toxicity from your life come together and that they transfer to each other. So it's affecting them either directly or indirectly. So that's what they say if a person is bitter or if a person, when you lay with this person, are they bitter? Are they happy? Are they from a higher space? Do they understand their stuff? Do they love their self? Are they in a form of lust? That's why certain people, when you come around certain people, it's a certain energy. Similar to like if you go around a person that is in their higher self, if it resonates with you and the information and knowledge starts hitting you in that thought process, it builds you up. You feel like the right person will make you better. It's simply a reflection. Me having a reflection of myself, everybody around me is a reflection of what I am inside of me. Things I need to work on and things that I can strengthen. The things that I need to work on are naturally going to make my strength even better, my strong attribute stronger. The only distance between you getting to yourself is your old self. Remember that slab that you laid out? You lay that slab out, your old self lays before you. The only reason so when you look at your shadow laying out behind you, when that sun hits you and the shadow lays behind you, that's your old self. Everything that you put into that aspect that you didn't want about yourself is how you created everything outside of you. So it's the furthest away from you. Everything that's outside of you that you do not like, that you do not want around you, that you do not understand are aspects of you. So when you look at this white person, people say white people are all these things. You give your shadow all this power because that's everything that you don't want to be, but secretly you want to be. You want to be successful. You want to live life carefree. You would like to be able to do anything you want at any given time. That's why when you don't like somebody, it's simply because of aspects of what you're stuck on. That's why when you look at some of the most hypocritical people are religious people in that aspect. There's some that have never done anything, at all. They've been pious their entire life, and they've gotten exactly what they've got for being pious. And there's ones that used to have the wild side, and then they act like they never had the wild side. Shutting down parts of yourself without understanding them is very detrimental to you. If I stand here, I realize that I am of a high sexual energy. I realize that I am of fire. I realize that I have a dark side. I realize all these things about myself in that aspect. So it becomes easier for me to navigate because I embrace all of my energy. Another book to look into, besides I said The Magician, forgot the author's name. Another book I also say is The Way to Superior Man. I got put onto that book by watching a Breakfast Club interview because the information is everywhere, everything's a learning tool. Lauren London gave Saint Nip that book. And he said something that had my coke wheels turning. He was like, your woman or your queen is comfortable in herself that she can give you that type of knowledge. And that goes back into a man cannot become a king without being bestowed the knowledge by a queen. That spiritual energy, she's that gateway. Our queens are that gateway. So you can tell a man, that's why they can say you can tell a man by the woman that he chooses in his life. So if you see a man with a weak woman, naturally he's a weak man. If you see a man with a strong woman, it means he's a strong man. We also have to change the definition of what strength is. Because a lot of us get that I'm a strong woman just because you're argumentative. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart because I love you guys. Just because you're argumentative, you're abrasive, all these things, and you never worked on your traumas, a true strong woman has worked on all of her traumas. A true strong woman has worked up on all her trauma, has healed herself and is healing her traumas. A strong king has started working on his traumas and can stand in his truth. A man cannot lead if he does not stand in his own truth. And a woman's guidance in tandem and accept that knowledge and use it as guidance if she hasn't worked on healing herself. So if I haven't healed myself, you haven't healed yourself, we can't come together in any same way or form except for that circle of drama. I don't want to ride or die. I want someone to meet me as they're evolving and we meet in that evolution aspect and we rise together in that. I don't want you to ride and die because that means anything that I do, you down to do with me. That means you're not challenging me. That's where you get that aspect. You got all these dudes got side chicks and this side chick craze, which has been around forever. Because if you study the music catalog of Joe was the first side nigga. If you listen to a lot of this music that came up towards the 2000s, Tyrese and Joe, and a lot of these niggas sung about being side niggas. And a lot of our great heroines of R&B sung about being side chicks. Very, very big learning experience. It was subliminally pumped into your head. So since you didn't work on the trauma that was inside of you, and then your reality became your environment, your reality is your environment, guess what happened? Now we're in a world full of side chicks and side dudes. Yeah, there was a show here in North Carolina called The Side Chicks of Charlotte. It was a YouTube show. Most of these people are very reality shows. That's all they are. But anyway, going back into the aspect of understanding yourself in that aspect, the things that hinder you and you don't want to face the most are the things you need to focus on. So if you're getting into dreams, your dreams are your subconscious speaking to you. So if you get into the field of dreams and you start seeing scary shit, study what the scary thing means. So if you're seeing demons in your dreams and you're running away from demons, as Libra pointed out when I said the thing about earlier about the demon in the beginning, means skillful performer, intelligence in that aspect, and you're running from demons in your dreams, it means you're running away from things that you need to learn. So you need to look at what demons you're running away from. So if you're running away from a bunch of things that have, we're running away from a bunch of floating skulls, there's a lot of skills floating around you that you're running away from. So if you're running away from skulls in your dream or skeletons in your dream, there are a lot of skills that are floating around you that you need to tap into. If you're running away from, if you see snakes in your dream and they're the color red, that means something's coming up into your life that you need to deal with. It isn't good or bad. You need everybody to take that aspect, that programming of good or bad out of your head. The aspect that you need to start focusing on is negative and positive polarities, because what's negative for us, for you, can be positive for somebody else. That's how they're winning, because you're thinking getting bad, they're thinking negative and positive. So what's negative to you is positive to them. So if I put you in negative living situations, it's positive for me, because when you thinking it's so bad you wanted to change, I can come in as your savior and gentrify that whole area. And now you're mad because you can't afford it. So you have to go back to even worse conditions than you started in, instead of fixing where you're at. But you can't fix where you're at because you haven't healed yourself. Since you haven't healed yourself, you can't heal your environment. You see how that goes? Everything is everything. Starving your ego, killing humanity is the only way to raise yourself into something better. Because you're going to do some inhumane shit. You're going to kill yourself. That is the ultimate inhumane shit, is killing yourself. You say you can't kill yourself. Or you're a psychopath. Turn it on its head. A psychopath won't kill themselves. Name one psychopath that you've seen that killed themselves. Charles Manson never killed himself. He died in jail. One of the most intellectual white people, simply because he absorbed all the information that he studied and read in books, and he understood it. The reason that he went crazy is because he got to a certain point where he can't get anywhere past it. The same similar instance in us, we sitting here holding on to this old information or these old rhetorics, religious ties and religious bindings, and we're going crazy. So in our mind, we hate something so bad outside of us, instead of fixing ourselves to get past that, or so we don't notice it anymore. That's how that shit is hitting us every single time. That's how it affects us. That's how that shit affects you. That's how it works. Like, if you think about it long enough, it's in your mindset, it's pocketed in your subconscious, it will continue to repeat itself. The moment that you remove the thought and understand it, you must understand it in order to remove it, or it'll still be stuck. It's similar to like if there's a weed in the ground where you're rooted at. If you're rooted in truth and you're moving in truth and you're in your spiritual shit and you're moving and you're in your energy and you feel powerful, as long as the weeds of what you don't understand, the understanding of the is at the root. So if you're just pulling the weed out by its surface, from the surface, it's still rooted in you. So as long as it's rooted in there, it can continue to grow back. So we got to take it out from the root. And the only way to take out something from the root is by digging into the darkness to understand it and bringing it to the light. That's that true reason behind bringing the dark to the light. We got to start bringing these dark things in our lives to the light. That's the only way it's going to no longer exist. We got to start taking these dark things from us that are in the dark and bringing them to the light. That's the only way we can build ourselves back to where we need to get to. But you're just taking all these thought processes and all these narratives to yourself in order to raise yourself to your higher self. Ain't nothing scary. They make everything scary. I'll give you a thought process of what's scary. All the knowledge that you have within yourself, all this beautiful energy and power that's inside of you, and you don't use it. That's what's scary. That is a scary thing indeed. All this power inside of you, this energy, this greatness, this alchemic substance. Your blood is gold. In us, whenever you see the movies where the monster is like spewing out black blood, and that's when they did Predator, when he cut him in blood, black blood. Our blood is that color. Our blood is purple. Our blood is damn near black. Because carbon runs through our veins. Everything outside of us that's carbon is within inside of us. That's why when you look at trees and they show you pictures of trees without the leaves, that's your lungs. Because they breathe in what you breathe out, and vice versa in tandem. The only reason the sun reflects on us and we glow in the sun and we absorb the sun so well is because our soul is the sun. That's the physical representation of what's inside of us. When you look at a bird's eye view, and then you want to go into the history or you want to speak the language of Horus or Haru, and if you open up your skull right now and cut the brain down the middle, and then you look at it, and you look in there at the falcon in the middle, which is around the pineal gland, the bird's eye view of your higher self. And I'll use an example of my bedroom is over. Like if I took the roof off of my place, you take the roof off of your house, and you're sitting in your living room, and your bedroom's in the back. You know the path in between here to your bedroom. But if the top's off and a bird flies over, the bird sees the bedroom, the kitchen, and every room in between has a bird's eye view. That's our higher self. The thought process is to go above all of this shit. That's the whole thought process, going above all of this shit. Understanding it to stay above it. Understanding it to stay above it. Destroying everything down here, so when I land, I'm landing on my own self. I'm landing in my own truth. That's that aspect of getting into your higher self. The longer that there's that angry phase in consciousness. I had that angry phase. I think everybody has that angry phase in consciousness. But what we're getting stuck on is that religious binding is being stuck on a good part. So if I find a part that fits, and like, hate all white people, and you get stuck on that part, your whole entire narrative is written around hating white people. So they still get your power. Because you're still connected to them in some way, shape, or form. If you say, I'm tired of, you become plant-based, and you say you hate all plant-based people that don't eat meat, is because your lack of understanding of why they eat meat in the first place. That's the only thing between hate and hate is the lack of understanding. Fear is the undeniability of wanting to understand. So love is the ultimate understanding. Ultimate understanding is knowing, and the ultimate version of showing love is by nurturing and sharing what you understand. That's that tandem. That's what it means. I don't need followers. I'm creating other teachers based on, when you look at that aspect of, we are all of the universe. You dig? We're all of the universe. So my knowledge that I've gathered is one part of the universe understanding itself to somebody that hasn't gotten to this point, they're at another point of the universe understanding itself. We're just trying to understand ourselves to take ourselves to a higher point. That's all it really is. There's nothing else to it. As simple as it is, all it is common sense. Jay said that shit. He was like, I ain't been rhyming like, I used to rhyme like common sense, but I made 10 mil. I ain't been rhyming like common sense. So, do you want to starve or do you want to be saved? You want to be starved? Continue doing what you were doing before. Starving yourself in nutrients, appeasing to somebody else's knowledge, appeasing to somebody else's thought process, arguing with somebody else's reality. But if you want to save yourself, realize you gotta let that shit go. Hold on to the knowledge. Share that knowledge. Apply that knowledge. Build around the knowledge of yourself. Build around the love of yourself. Build reflections of the love of yourself. Everybody around you should be eating and learning how to cultivate each other because they're cultivating themselves. If all I'm thinking about is the knowledge I give to you, and all you're thinking about is the knowledge that you're giving to me, there's no room for a selfish thought of, if I give them too much, they're not going to give me anything, and vice versa. That's what it's about. I don't care about the messenger. It's the messages. It's the knowledge. It's how it's obtained. How are you using it and applying it? If it works for you, it works for you. That's all that matters. But expound upon to the origins of it so you have full control. That's what God does. We generate, operate, and destroy the conduits. The kings, our physical body being kings and queens, that's the conduit for the energy that we generate, for the knowledge that we generate. We got to learn to live above the chaos so we can control the chaos. It's the only key. And as always, I love y'all. We should love us. And with that, Ashe. Ashe. Till then, let's continue to become the day. Peace.